well supported, but in some ways is that going to matter so much when your 4 is so damn strong? Weibo Gaming, their pick is very nasty. The Pantheon, the Varus, the Leona all setting up for things like Rumble and Aurora. Big old ultimates can be pretty difficult to manage if they can pull off the snap engage.
If Breathe gets items, AL are going to melt. They have an immobile AD carry, an Azir who doesn't like playing against stuff like Varus and Leona because he can often try and sit in his auto attack range with the soldiers and you'll get pinged with CC. AL needs to be very, very careful to not allow Weibo's first bit of CC to land within equalizer response range. AL on the other side, they do have split push pressure with the Yorick. They do have good early lanes with Jhin and Azir as well to contest with that. But I do think Weibo can...
Game 1 of this incredible best of 5 about to go. Have a listen to the crowd, shall we? Little bit of a look in there early on for a potential ward or two. Too much happening there on the other side. To get a ward down on those Raptors. Tarzan starting off with a red buff, getting a bit of leash time from his bot lane, actually feeling like they're going to fight the Varus and the Leona anyway. I want to give the Sejuani a bit of a boost in the early game. Have her skirmishing the Pantheon early on, getting invades coming on through, so trying to make that decision. Shouldn't be out of range here for any of the minions at the very least, but finding for level 2 can be a little trickier. Bit of early shove here from the Aurora. And we've got a lot of time with this champion, even after some nerfs come through. Some people haven't gone towards the Aurora quite as much. Xiaohu never really let the bunny go. Does love that Luden Shadow Flame build on her in particular. There's the Varus grunt somewhere out there. Amber is screaming. Over the soldiers. Nice go for the weirding. Can't quite land it. Ends up eating a fair amount of soldier damage there as they are told to arise. Solo leveling Azir when. The CC comes on down. Not too much to be seen. Hope holding on to that 4 shot Kyle. Threatening with the shattering strike. Win cons there from Flandre on that Yorick. Started at 0 and 2, and basically I feel like it's just been wins for him on the champion. Just feel like people have figured out how they want to play around it a lot better now. So for that podcast with Whippo, set up by Trouble Inc. and Iris. Wonderful show that's been. Combining some of our east and west regions in a more cool way. Yep. Nabs away a crab. Can look towards the mid lane here as it's a bit of a shove up from the side of Shanks. Now misses the attempted step back though. Got to get as much there I think he was hoping for, and Tarzan is around defending as well, so it all ends up being both junglers just hovering their mid lane. Shield vault in, turn around with an Arctic Assault, throws down the Comet Spear, can look back to his Raptor Reach.
Yeah, just trying to force Shanks and Tarzan to be a little bit slow back towards their camps, gives Xiaohu a little bit more time. Tarzan is in top river, that Breathe, you've got to be careful. Finder if he flashes for a follow-up, could be a problem.
Could be, flashes the Arctic Assault. Assumed that the Sejuani would be going into her own jungle and was not. Gets punished for it.
Breathe pushing in that top wave. Little bit disconnected from what was happening in top river. ENTM was trying to delay Tarzan from being a bit more active after that point. Not quite enough to save Breed's Flash. Now you have to play the Rumble as Flash is into that Dark Procession.
To get a bit dicey, that's for sure. Of course, you got that much damage. Get started with the early Null Magic Man also.
I don't know whether we sorted out audio stuff, but if you're in chat, please let us know how audio balancing is going. We can fix that on the fly. And yeah, hopefully give you the best audio experience, I guess, we can have available to us. So big things kind of coming into this series to me in terms of overall narratives. Weibo on a huge underdog journey right now. They came in as 7th seed overall in LPL playoffs, I think it was. And already beat that 3rd seed, going towards the 2nd seed now in Annual's Legend, team which, I don't remember what that record versus them was in regular season. I can't remember that good, not going to lie. Though Weibo didn't have a good record versus many teams, actually.
No, they didn't. They were very, very decidedly mid-tier.
Yeah, they were. They really struggled a lot. They were 0-2 versus them. But the only team which they had a 2-0 versus was IG, by the way, which is just
hilarious,
so fitting. Weibo, one of the teams which could just, be very, very inconsistent.
Yeah, notoriously so. The moniker for them for the last few years has been...
Looks like audio's a little bit loud for us still, so... There we go.
You reckon?
Chat's saying it.
Okay.
And chat agrees, so yes. There we go, just set it out a little bit more. Hopefully that's fine now. As, yeah, early game, no significant advantage built just yet. We did say that Weibo, good composition, good ability to combo up with the re-equalizer later into the game, and AL need to be very wary of that.
Bag in. Back and available, but no one's going to start that quite yet. But Grub's in a minute and a half, we'll keep our eyes on it. Yeah, also around the bot side. Baiting a potential dive here on a Flandre. He's not summoned his wife as yet. Shout out to one of our LEC pros shouting, kill the wife.
Is that LEC or NLC that was
I think it might have been Crowny, actually.
Yeah, I don't think it was LEC. I think it was a Lost Returns thing. I'm not as clued into the memes there, but Xiaohu now walking down, does have the ultimate, can hop over the wall with the WTN, can jump to him. Flandre does have the flash still, stunned up. That's a lot of CC.
Nice to walk away best he can, throws the Dark Possession. The Pandas are there. One will go down in trade. TN will get out. To work from Flandre, at least take one with it.
Yeah, Joe basically says, look, I'm not wasting flash. I'm going to die for this. It'll be a 1-for-1, but it'll be worth it because there's going to be some missed XP and some missed farm from Flandre. So it's fine to just save that flash. Also, Leona flash very, very threatening onto the backline later. Very valuable tool. Flandre no flash, and he'll lose himself a decent amount of that XP, as we were saying. Breathe has the advantage there now.
Also just doesn't have TP, so he's going to lose the majority of that wave. No way to get to lane any faster. Ends up losing about 2 waves there, I think, actually, in the grand scheme of things, which kind of sucks as Yorick, I'm not going to lie.
Especially in AL, one of their ways out of the Weibo combo is split push it. You just split until you die, or hopefully the enemy towers do first. Rumble, good wave cleared, now ahead to 20 CS, now ahead about half a level as well. Breathe was a player that was getting a lot of flack. Like a lot of flack towards the end of the regular season. A lot of people were calling him out for being, performing very poorly. Versus JDG, I think he was very good versus Ala. And I think that here on the Rumble, having their 20 CS lead and a very good draft to showcase what he can do, this guy I've got a lot of eyes on. We'll see when he chooses to get first involved in the game. Doesn't have the teleport right now, won't be around these grubs if this contest.
Doesn't feel like that's going to be much of an option. There is a level 6 on TM Explosive who wants to pull a Grand Starfall or something, but that would be, I suspect, a one-way trip into hell. And that this isn't Malevelon Creek, so no need to go hunting for a clone.
Oh, I have been replaying. That grub looks like a Terminid to me. Super Earth to arms. I've been playing Helldivers again, and I realized that I had like the Malevelon Creek cape. So
yeah.
I was there at Space Nam. Tarzan, not spotted by Xiaohu though. 3 grubs over to the side of Annual's Legend. They do have the Yorick. Now, the thing is, Weibo have very good wave clear. Very good wave clear. Varus is good at it. Aurora's good at it. Rumble's good at it. They have 3 champions which can pretty much insta-delete a wave. And it's not the poke Varus. I know it's not fully there, but you know what I mean, right? So, the 3 grubs from AL don't have to mean anything if Weibo are good at covering their lanes. Now, there are some cross maps that AL will be able to take towers quicker, especially with the Yorick involved too. It's always the case. That's something we'll have to pay attention to going forwards. Dragon now started off Weibo and AL looking like they don't want to contest.
Not that we're going to see the 3 grubs into swift rotation to a lane to just try and force an immediate turret trade and win that race with the grubs, which we do sometimes see actually at the minute, with how potent the now singular set of grubs is. It wasn't like you had to wait for the second set of grubs to really get value out of them.
Yeah, true. It's nice to just have like that one dip, force hard with your summoners for those if you do need them in the early game, and then see what happens afterwards. Aaron Light, missing the Zenith Blade. Reminder, folks, Erha was double MVP of the game wins that Weibo had in the back end of the series, Game 4 and Game 5 versus JDG. He was on excellent form. So, would like to see him performing more towards that level rather than the missed Zenith Blade there. I mean, end of the day, probably would have just been the... Well, it probably would have been both summoners gone from Hope, actually, the cleanse and the flash, but not able to land that E from out of the Fog of War.
Does appear to be the case. It's Kyle sitting in the enemy jungle, trotting around on the Rel, throws down a ward into the Krugs. We're happy enough to reset here.
Just nice to get some extra vision onto the Pantheon, who has that ultimate now. You were calling about that earlier, saying, well, he can contest, blah, blah, blah. That's something which AL need to be vaguely having in the back of the head at every play now. Yeah, oh, he could be here. Oh, he could end up being in the area with that ultimate. It's one of the powerful things about Pantheon. Not only does he have a good early phase, he has, hang on a second, Breathe does have flash, but sometimes I get a little bit scared when the Morning Mist lands and that's slow, because it can put you into the Dark Procession and force something out of it. We're going to lead to much here, though, as Flandre tries to make up some of the deficit he had in XP and farm earlier.
Not going to turn into too much right now. Tarzan, though, has gone a bit of a run with Kyle. At one point, our de facto best jungle support show in the LPL, arguably still is. They just had a week or two where things got a bit ropey. People started going, what the hell's happening at AL? That's not what we were expecting.
For sure. No, I think that's completely worthy to call out. First half of the split, my MVP would have been either Tarzan or Kyle. Second half of the split, as I've been saying on Twitter and stuff, I would have chosen someone like Knight instead. Breathe does get caught in the Dark Procession, chooses to pull the ultimate, fight back. Don't think he can... Hang on a second, here he is. You have to ask that question. Where's the Pantheon? He comes in now.
Jill vaults in, looks to get the stun on up. TPs begin to fly, will be slightly faster from the side of anyone's Legend. I don't think it's going to mean all that much here. As a second TP turns in, Xiao, who's there, gets involved with the kill. We'll be happy enough with that additional kill.
AL have locked in a comp without that global to support the Yorick, whereas Weibo have one to answer the Yorick, and you can see how that pivots around this pick. Suddenly we have the Yorick with 2 kills down, significant lead over towards his lane opponent, which can have a good matchup into him in that Rumble as well. And despite the fact that I do think AL are one of the best strategist teams within the LPL, I don't think they have the best draft here, and I think they're starting to fall behind in key aspects now.
Be a bit tricky. Actually, Tarzan steps on forwards, looks to try and get something there, can't quite do it. They're swift enough with the E press, and actually it's W, isn't it? Flips. No, sorry, E is the Zenith Blade. And will be out safety.
Actually, one of the most important things about Leona is you see a piece of CC heading at you out of Fog of War. How quickly can you react to make sure you are tanky enough to not get exploded before you press that W? It can be very important. So again, something to just keep in mind as the game goes on. Breathe, maintaining a half a level lead, going on towards a full level lead now, actually. Huge amount of XP over Flandre. Breathe, a guy that I think last year for Weibo, when Tarzan was his jungler, of course, on Weibo too, I think Breathe was one of the main reasons why Weibo got themselves to that summer finals. They were one of the main reasons why they got to Worlds knockouts. And he was one of the few top laners towards the end of the year last year within the LPL that could best someone like a Bin on his 2024 form. Now, Breathe took a step down this year so far. But there's just that question in the back of your mind. You think, oh, this guy has been a top laner within the LPL before. Currently doing well against Flandre, who I think by consensus has been one of the best top laners in LPL too.
Agreed.
If Breathe gets an advantage like this, on a draft which enables him like this, I want to see what he can do. What's his current form? How high is the ceiling today?
I know that a lot of the community centre around Shanks has really stepped up as well. He's had a very good split as Shanks. Actually, I think he and Hope have been very consistent for anyone's Legends. Some people like Cream, for example, over on Top Esports has maybe had a bit more of an up and down experience. Xiao, who's been exactly that as well. But let's be real, Xiao, whose ability to carry, not necessarily as potent as we would be hoping, even if some of the playmaking's been really good.
Yeah. Breathe still hasn't been as consistently good as he was in 2021. Absolutely sure. But then Breathe was something. He was a man unleashed in that year. But still, just that question you have in the back of your head, right? That's one of the beautiful things about the LPL. There's a bunch of players hanging around thinking, oh, these guys are really good if they get their act together. In fact, we've built entire teams out of them. TFC will know about that. There's a team called Invictus Gaming, which fit that bill. This drag is up in 20 seconds. Weibo, I want to see if they bring the Rumble to the party soon at some point. Now, he's fine wave clearing against the Yorick. I guess you don't want to give him a free side lane with the 3 grubs, but I want to see when Breathe is going to join the equation, because Weibo's comp sets up very well for it.
Shahu will throw down a weirding and spot out Tarzan, who was in that bush. Second dragon is up and available. Weibo debating starting it up. Certainly in the river right now. Off on a flank. Kyle about to go face check the Leona. Will trade out some CC. Let's get the aftershock down.
That's a lot of CC.
Absolutely blown apart. As the chain of CC comes on through Breathe now in a 1v1 with Flandre that he's losing because the Maiden's doing a lot of work. Throws down some of those scrap shields flashed over the wall. Flandre looking to follow up though and has a Nimbus cloak. Decent shield there with the scrap shield. Trying to turn it back around with something, but is missing the morning mist. A last strike would be the death.
Oh, the shield!
Who gets another scrap shield, but I don't think it changes anything. He's going to have to execute here. How on earth did that one start out?
That's a great question. The equalizer didn't look like it was on that good angle for Breed, so he didn't get the most value there. And also Tien was not coming up towards that top lane with the ultimate. He was at that dragon, so Flandre could take a much harder trade. The Yorick getting the kill in that matchup does change things significantly. However, with taking so long to die, he won't get access to the turret, which is still one of the goals accomplished by Weibo. At the end of the day, you don't want the Yorick to be hitting towers with 3 grubs. You don't really want to die at the same time, though.
Shoves pretty damn hard and then almost gets out. Good scrap shield usage, I give that to Breathe, but the problem was the fight was already lost. It was a matter of how long it was going to take.
Luckily, plates have fallen off, so not going to get value from that chunk onto tower there from Weibo, but Flandre now ahead in terms of gold. That is always the worry. Can they kill the wife? No, they can't. No, not matricide. That's killing your mother, isn't it?
Yeah. Matricide is siblings.
Yeah, or family, I guess. Or also applies in a military context, too. So Breathe chose this fight. He chose this fight. The kill comes down on top, so I guess he's trying to make sure that there's no teleport coming through. And the equalizer's not good, basically. The equalizer's not good. I think if that's on target, it's much more playable. We saw how close it was. Breathe could do quite well, actually, at kiting out and trying to ping with harpoons and stays just out of melee range, but couldn't quite get enough damage through from that equalizer, and Flandre walks away with the trade.
Does indeed. Nice pick up there. Thought he would try and use the level 11 spike, couldn't land the equalizer. Also didn't have the Torque Pen boots down yet, but yeah, Grand Starfall flash over the Emperor's Divide to prevent getting shoved back, and Tien with a very nice pick there. 100% kill involvement right now for the Weibo jungler. Pretty comfortable here on the Pantheon.
Yeah, Tien versus Tarzan has been a top-level matchup. Breed's getting caught out. He does have the ultimate. Does he get it down in time to get some wave play? He does, just about. Kills the Maiden at least, I think. Just about. But another death to Breed. That's not something that Weibo want to happen. The top laner that we were just praising, dying twice in just as many minutes.
Good moments from them. That's a 3rd kill now for this Yorick. They want that wink on. There's the first turret as well. Good for them. Ura now in danger. Needs to sidestep that deadly flourish. He does. Throw down the Herald into mid lane. Shattering Strike. Turn around with the Zenith Blade. Ura now in melee range of a lot of people. As teleports begin to fly. Solar Flare coming on down. Turret about 2% HP. Ura flashed up. It's hit by the deadly flourish. So much CC. And there's nowhere for the Leona to go. But a vengeance for earlier when Kyle got picked up around the dragon. Tien is here. It's not going to change all that much. And the curtains are called. And Weibo being asked to take a bow. Light tanks up a lot of them. The 4th shot goes wide. And the reviews just aren't quite in time.
Well, that's happening. Flandre just took the top lane in a turret. That's why he's still around here. Shahu's going to walk towards him. Dodge that on the morning mist, but I don't think Shahu's going to get that much more. So it's 2 turrets in top lane. It's a mid lane in a outer turret as well. It's a couple of kills on the board. We were saying that, you know, anyone's legend, they needed to find a way to get this split pusher online. Strategically, they were getting a bit outvalued by Weibo, who was shutting down this Yorick. Blink and you miss it. Almost a 2,000 gold lead over towards Flandre. The map is opened up as well. Anyone's legend and one clean maneuver over the last couple of minutes have seen themselves into a very good spot now compared to where they were.
Well, they might be anyone's legends, but they're my legends too. As the moment I said that, maybe I am cursed to forever support teams that can't quite succeed. No, Tarzan gets out to safety. Cute. Flandre eats a bit of electrocute damage, begins to walk at Shahu in the morning. This comes on through between worlds is used by Shahu, throws out a decent weirding and some changes there with the 2-fold hexes, and Flandre doesn't win those. Gets through the passive cycles a few too many times.
I mean, Flandre says, oh, I've got Merc Treads, it'll be fine. Shahu just dunks on him. He just dunks on him, even with the Triforce. The Aurora, very strong in, you know, being able to hop out of the Dark Procession and various skill shots, Xiaohu, this is a comfort pick for him for a reason.
I just want to remind people that when Aurora first released, people went, oh man, she's going to be really good top type for the anti-tank potential. But as long as you can get through that passive a few times, remember how much percent HP that thing does if you get through 3 or 4 rotations. Have a look, because he starts it off. Gets a lot of damage down immediately.
Yeah, and you know, Flandre walks up for a Q, but this is the power of having that ultimate to hop over terrain, the ability to get your passive for the healing, and the move speed, and the everything. Flandre goes down, and that 2,000 gold lead, once again, shrinks a little bit, because Flandre misses out on a bit of farm, and of course, Xiaohu now 2-0-1. If he jumps into the backline with 2-3 items, yes, I know they're not the bursty ones, but it's still Aurora, those carries are going to start feeling the heat.
And the Leandri thrower, a little less good at the upfront team fight burst, but in the side lanes, in the extended trades, very obnoxious. Zera goes over the wall as Dragon's spawning shortly, so that will flash away. Solar Flare a little wide, trying to catch both and ends up getting neither.
Yeah, Air, a player that we've really had our eyes on, not necessarily delivering the promise of last series. Tarzan jumping towards Air, and that Dragon has spawned. Will we see our first team fight equalizer? We've yet to see one of those this game. Yes, Breeze is behind in the individual matchup now, but that Rumble has so much setup for him.
Banana Bush being fought over. Tarzan throws down a Glacial Prison, lands it onto the Pantheon. Turn around.
Not sure about that.
And that equalizer between worlds is brutal. Into the backside with the Zenith Blades. Keep people interested. About to get hit by the Permafrost and just go down. Hope free firing. Also, Shanks in a scary position, getting a lot of damage down. Reset trying to come on through from Tien. He does have the ult to potentially return and join the fight again. Light's dead, as is Ura, and it's only Kyle who gets traded.
Light ends up being caught out in an awful position. He is the on-hit variant, not the poke. You can't stand at the range you want to. Xiaohu around, but doesn't see Tarzan.
They've jumped on into the Emperor's Divide, and they lose another member. Atakar now up. In goes Tien. He's in a 1v4. Does take out the Azir at the very least. Where's the rest of the squad? Just not here. And so they lose a jungler as well. Weibo Gaming lose their bloody minds.
Well, that's a Weibo special. We'll go for it and see what happens. Xiaohu gets caught out. Tien did have that ultimate. It's why he wanted to reset for it. But instead of finding themselves the victory, they will lose the Dragon, they'll lose the Atakan, and they'll lose 2 kills for just the 1 in return. Anyone's Legend, again, making better decisions around the map in the last 5 minutes or so. We're going towards the replay. Tarzan, I don't think this is a good ultimate. You're going to a Pantheon who gets the pop his E very well. Equalizer's not fantastic, actually, because it doesn't hit the backline. It hits Kael, that's about it. You know, you kill the Rel, fine, cool. Doesn't stop, no hope from jumping forward like this. I think Light's positioning, very suspect here, and I think his flash over the wall was a little too late. I think you have to understand you can't sit in the Azir soldiers the way that he did, so Light will have to fix his positioning for that next fight too.
Yeah, Shanks just got to stand and deliver that entire time, and Hope also got a lot of damage off, and weren't threatened really by the Between Worlds and the Equalizer in a meaningful way. Innovel Tien comes in and goes 1 for 1. The Atakan, I suppose, was already likely to go down, so you may as well take somebody with you. Still, exactly the best moment ever. It is now only Tien and Xiaohu on their team with a mild gold lead of 200 apiece, and what a game-breaking difference that is. Problem is the rest of the map's not looking fantastic.
The gold's not out of control yet, though, I will say. The gold's not completely out of control. You know, yes, sizable lead for Anyone's Legend, but it's not like you don't have your own item spikes coming through. Anyone's Legend, they have more tools to play with right now, though, I think, particularly with just such overwhelming map pressure from the Yorick, and I really think that Tarzan on the Sejuani being very able to walk forwards and not be picked off, I think there aren't many players on Weibo that can say the same thing.
That's probably fair. Shanks turns to this top side. Of course, the 2 turrets were claimed not by Sauron or anything, but by Flandre on an earlier shove. Towards the mid lane we go. Hope throws down a full shot. Hits that turret for a bit of damage and backs away. I just feel right now that Weibo's Gaming's map is very small for it's only a 2,000 or so gold lead. Be underselling that a little bit more, like 2.5, but still, gold lead is there, but not like, oh my days, this is unplayable levels. The map state, though, isn't exactly fun.
Yeah, you know, they are only the 1 turret taken for Weibo, 4 on the side of Anyone's Legend. It does mean, of course, that if they'll leave an opening, there's a lot of standing gold for Weibo to go claim. That's a Pantheon ult down towards the bot, and lands right onto Flandre.
Try the Dark Possession, the Equalizer forces an awkward path out from Flandre, slowed down by the Chilling Smite. About to be jumped on as well, tries to flash away to Flandre, hit by the Weirding. Trying to buy a lot of time. Shanks is also TP dabbing now, he's split up. Just out of range of that Glacial Prison. Now Shanks in a 1v3 for now, but overcomes the rest of anyone's legend. Shot breathe into the remaining members coming on in. Shanks will die. It's a 1-for-1 at the end of that particular sequence. Light and looking at Hope, who does manage to run away. Tarzan in danger. The Locket comes on down, trying to keep him alive, will not do so. Shao goes to the shotgun blast with the Weirding, and will continue to hunt for other members. It is the Varus that picks up that Sejuani and ends up being 3-for-1. Not bad for Weibo.
It's very good for them. And again, that gold lead we were saying was there, but not the biggest thing ever. Doesn't impact this fight, and now it's gotten smaller afterwards. Weibo have been using the Pantheon ult insanely well. Tien has had ups and downs. He has been one of the most inconsistent members for Weibo, but you must remember the power which Tien can have as a peak player. Comes in with the ultimate, realizes that, look, yes, Flandre beat me in a 1v1, I have more teammates coming, and I have them coming sooner as well. Shanks comes down to the play, not soon enough to save the Yorick, and a lot of the gold lead goes with it when the Yorick goes down. After that, of course, it gets even worse because your team is completely split up. Shanks, one of your DPS pieces, does not have any front line between him and the enemy team, tries to sweep things into a better position, but just can't position himself quite soon enough to get himself into a position to do damage.
Valiant effort, but valiant effort is not in the end a win. Tarzan tries to run away, but Tien gets to shield vault onto Tarzan. That is the correct order of operations. Back away on that one.
Worth noting, by the way, I saw a stat popping up while we were getting ready in the background. Tien Tarzan, all-time 17-17 wins.
No
and
way!
losses. This jungle matchup has been so cool to watch over the years. Tien currently having a really good time of it, but it's not like Tarzan hasn't impacted the game either. With the Dragon coming up, perhaps the Smite key will also be tested between these two venerable championship-winning junglers.
Dragon out here. Weibo and, of course, anyone's legend play for this one. AL claimed the last dragon and a big old fight afterwards. They got Atakan and Weibo kind of went in bit by bit and got in a lot of trouble. Does feel like in the 5v5s, AL, if they can survive the burst of the Equalizer and Between Worlds, a really nasty, consistent team fight angle. The same position that cost them so much last time. In goes tries to find a backline access, will likely die for this, does so. Flash out from Hope, keeps him alive. Between Worlds comes on down, the Equalizer is burned as well. They just don't get anything in that fight.
Oh, and again, once again, AL getting the better of the team fight so far. It's been Weibo playing around, you know, stuff like the Pantheon ult, which has given them advantages, and Weibo might have just lost themselves a chance to get a soul point, and indeed they have 2 dragons apiece. AL taking the last 2 back-to-back, despite the fact that Weibo started well in the game on that front. AL, you know, once again showing that they are very good in those 5v5s with this kind of comp.
On the other side, if you don't get the mother of all Between World Equalizer combos, it doesn't feel like you have that much damage. The skirmishes are fine, the 1v1s are fine, and ult's mid, but to what end? There's nothing really there to be found as Shank slides away. Tien may have the most gold in the game, but you're not really managing to leverage it into anything game-winning right now.
Look, it was a flashless Azir. If you miss positions, you flash for the stun, and then that potentially is a kill. I don't mind looking for that. I think that's actually a decent play of it. You know, it's not the one which gets the value for Tien, but, you know, he's gotten good value out of his ultimate throughout the game so far. I respect the angle. Xiaohu going to return to base. He can get himself a 3rd item soon. Looks like he's going towards that Crypt Loop.
And get that one completed, and there it is. In fact, as you speak about it, has a bit more pen to work with and a little bit more ability to go cycling through a few more of those rotations.
Yeah, Breed's going for the Bloodletter's Curse as well, so he'll be applying that AoE magic resist shred across the entire team. See how much value that can get. Tien looking to be the face checker. Quite hard to be a face checker against this kind of comp, which can, you know, fling a Sejuani ult at you. If you don't get that Pantheon E up in time, CC into death. A real possibility. AL pushing up on the map, and you were saying this before, actually, and I think it's still the case. The gold lead might not be crazy, but the map state for AL is better. They have way better presence on those towers in the side lanes right now, with 3 more taken than Weibo's just 1 tower killed.
An Infinity Edge done on this Jhin now, alongside the Ghost Blade and the Rapid Fire Cannon, so actually a very slippery customer as Hope upgrades the boots as well, so locking down this Jhin with the fleet footwork, with the passive, with the Ghost Blade, with the range he's playing with, it's already been difficult. Went careening into the backside on Hope, and they just could finish him off. And that's going to happen, I think, time and time again this game. The Ryalize is done for this Azir, who's not exactly an immobile target himself. I worry for Weibo in these team fights about how they bring down the Azir and the Jhin in good order.
Yeah, double HP items of Ryalize and Leandries, has the Merc Treads upgraded into the Chain-Laced Crushers, which means you have a Magic Shield, Tenacity, and a bunch of HP. Now, Shanks did die very quickly in that bot lane play that we saw from Tien, ulting down to kill Flandre and then Shanks afterwards. If he is separated, still in Azir, I'm not the tankiest person ever known to man. 2.5 minutes until Dragon. And AL doing a better job this time of not giving easy Pantheon ult targets. Tien is about to hit level 16. He'll get himself the extra passive armor penetration from that, and also the increased cooldown. Tarzan and the teleport from Shanks. They want to go straight on to breathe. Weibo going to come here in time. No, they're not. The teleport fails.
Tried to TP out, but it was always going to be a bit of a fool's errand. Is displaced by the Dark Possession, hit by the Glacial Prison, and sent into a very icy grave.
Despite a good start to the game, Breathe has been caught out on weak side numerous times, and AL have been pouncing on every opportunity. Now with 3 grubs, a wave coming behind them, this will be a very quick tower take, and Weibo, they don't have a cross map. They just realize, okay, we give up the kill, we give up the tower, nothing else that we can really do. They get a ward around Baron, and that's about it.
At this point, Weibo have only managed to get 1 turret this game. That's it. Single turret, and all the while, everywhere else, Anyone's Legend way ahead in terms of that map control. Back up to 2,500 gold lead, a lot of it in that top lane in particular. 3k lead now for Flandre. He's picked up a Jack Show, even more obnoxious in these team fights. Burst heavy comp from the side of Weibo on the whole, with equalizing between worlds and all the rest of it. Pick is fantastic. Team fights, as we said, a little bit tricky if you're trying to blow up this Yorick relatively swift play. Not the Q. I could have, there's probably a better way of phrasing that. Swift play is not about what we're playing. It's regular Summoner's Rift experience, but still, point largely stands. Minute or so until next Dragon as well. Soul point, I feel, over to the side of Anyone's Legend. They can make it happen.
Been really impressed with AL about how they recovered what was quite a difficult early game with the Rumble getting ahead of the Yorick, and then Weibo seemingly having good playmaking tools. They start the Baron now, they can tank it well with the Sejuani, Azir can DPS it well. Now Weibo, they'll have to engage into the 5v5, which they've not really managed to succeed at in this game so far.
Baron's going down, we have no idea what the HP is. They need to put a ward over there, and it's just gone. Can't get there in time.
Okay, they don't want to throw the game to look for a Baron steal, which I guess with the gold lead,
Dragon then.
It's okay. Dragon is up now, but it's not that soul point. It's a bit of a flimsy ultimate thrown out by Tarzan.
Trying to catch someone in mid lane before they could get over there. Didn't quite cheat the tempo. And the shove in mid lane does come on through. They're down that additional ult.
They have the 3 grubs and they have the Yorick. They can get an entire inhibitor here. Weibo, we call them for, being a good smoke and mirrors team. AL are very good macro too. They put Weibo into a difficult scenario. Yes, the Dragon goes down, but they might lose in a full inhibitor turret. Top lane being prepared by Shanks too.
He steps on throw against the weirding down. Good chunk onto Hope. That's not bad news, and we'll make sure that they don't want to stick around too aggressively here. Shanks also shoving on his top side. Big wave with a double cannon there as well. That inhibitor turret likely to fall. Kyle. Right as Zero went looking for an engage, can't quite find it. Is low. The bullet time, curtain call, is interrupted briefly before they lose the Leona. Into the backline they go. Light also down between worlds they go. Weibo Gaming are falling apart. The team fight in their own base. It's game off the shove. Anyone's Legend just shove and win as 3 members fall.
Anyone's Legends macro was just better this game. Light struggled to have any impact on the Varus, and Weibo struggled to keep up with the fancy footwork across the lanes from Anyone's Legend.
Weibo tried to get the Dragon. They tried to make the defense of the inhibitors happen. It just goes wrong. And Anyone's Legend just grind
really easily. What you can do is look to throw an ult towards the Skarner. I think Ashe Seraphine very good versus the Skarner on the whole. I'm really worried about how they play against the Kalista Renata, though. They don't get countered nearly as hard by the Ashe slow as they used to. I think Weibo come away with a much easier to execute draft. AL have 5 squishies. I mean, the Vi's a little bit tanky, but they have 5 squishies. Weibo have a couple of snap engage tools between the Ambessa ults, Kalista running forwards with the ultimate too. Anyone's Legend do have a range advantage. They have Orianna, they have Ashe. Nidalee technically as well, though, with the AD variant in top lane, less about that. I'm really worried about AL losing through the bot lane. Their story does not end. Let's get into it. Xiao thrown in there as well. Oh, it's not quite the same. They don't have the Jing Dong. Not quite the same, is it? Early level 1 push in from anyone's legend. Of course, the Ashe Seraphine, very dangerous at level 1, actually. The Ashe gets the slow, and Kyle manages to... Well, if he does level up the E, you can get a full stun onto someone. Powerful thing about the Ashe Seraphine, for those who are not in the know. Seraphine's E, the, you know, the skill shot along the ground. If it hits you with one of those, it will slow you. If you were already slowed, it goes into a root. Now, of course, Ashe gives a slow on auto attack, so you can get that root immediately from just one of those. And of course, if they're already rooted, and they go into a full stun. Ashe, hang on, popping the ghost very early, using that level 1. This is the power of it. Not even starting with the E, just using the superior range of the Seraphine over the Renata, and the Ashe over the Callista. Heal for ghost, heal. Xiaohu getting Clockwork wound up. Not bad threaded volley onto Shanks there for continual damage, but not in the happiest of spots. Oriana, a very good early trader in lane. Ymir Masters co-stream tomorrow? I don't know what Sam's plans are. He only just got back from Copenhagen. He went out to NLC finals to go watch the festivities there. But yeah, I'm sure he'll think about it. Tian, gonna get his level 3. He was spotted around the area. Nearly put some bushwhacks to spot out some jungle paths. Tarzan also hits level 3, and he has red buff. That actually might win this trade. Tarzan off of vision, trying to predict the counter again, coming through the wall. Cut through. Oh, no counters to dash. Shanks flashing away from the last threaded volley. Flash blown for nothing there. Tarzan potentially a little stronger. I was actually surprised that the interaction wasn't that Skarner pushes you through the minefield and it activates the damage from it. I wasn't aware that was not considered a displacement. Well, I suppose that's... Skarner's broken enough. Let's not give him more stuff to worry about. Tarzan now going for an invade, using the winning bot lane to go towards red buff. Tien will get his Raptors, but loses red buff. That's annoying. Tarzan getting ahead of the game. Vi should not be getting ahead in terms of early camps. Vi is not a champion you should allow to get ahead of the game like that. You want to shut them down in the early levels. Before level 3, Vi is a very weak champion. Once you hit level 3, you're an incredible skirmisher because you get access to your denting blows a lot easier. Tarzan towards bottom scuttle now. Using that winning bot lane very, very well. The Seraphine very much helping Annual's Legend plan their early game. And AL, the one thing that we have known about this team in this iteration, as soon as they added Tarzan alongside Tabe as the coach, was that they were going to be a thinking person's League of Legends team. They were always going to be... Oh, can you stop the recall? I think you can. Yeah. Annoying for Breathe, one of the better things about Nidalee top lane. Always has a way to stop you from recalling. Will the blue side advantage ever be mended? Fearless Draft makes it much more blue-sided on the whole. I don't know why. There's a lot of factors running into it, but I think it's much easier to pick a powerful champion and plan around it than counter-pick a lot more. Especially when champions start to fall out of the meta, and you're less practiced at matchups. Counter-picks get less value. Also in Fearless, people don't want to practice the crazy counter picks because you're going to see the champions they counter much less. You know, stuff like Swain into Cassante, people won't practice that as much. I mean, that's one example, right? Because they won't see as Cassante as much. They're only going to see it in one game in a series. I know that people like Fearless a lot, but it does have its negatives. Shanks doesn't have Flash. Xian can get towards him. It won't be able to wall stun him. Does manage to draw him back a little bit. Can he get slow onto him? Yes, he can. Where's the flick back coming through? The distance does not give enough move speed to dodge through that, and Shanks has overpushed a little too hard and will pay the cost for it. Annual's Legend, we're playing a bit of a full court press. Trying to push in all lanes. That does come with some risks. Right there. Not able to survive. First kill going over towards Tien in the jungle. Tien had a very good Pantheon game too. Just before this. Roots onto Airhead. Heal comes through. I don't like that Ren sound nearly as much. It's not as spicy as it could be. It turns out Seraphine is Lux in early levels, with Ashe especially. Hang on a second. That was a recall coming through. I was wondering if they could actually go for a flash handshake or something. Not going to happen. Wave crash coming in from Light and Air now, who are 10 CS down, but dealt well with the aspect. Oh, that's a problem. There's no AD carry with them. We'll survive with the heal being blown. Tarza starting Dragon. Not sure he's safe to. Hope could walk over. I guess they are, because the other bot lane's going to recall anyway. No mana for light. Oh, thank you very much. Is that a cinnamon roll? Hell yeah. Nice. Sam's brought a cinnamon roll. Yay. Early game. So draft from Anyone's Legend, very much about full court press, early pushing lanes to help Tarzan get ahead of Tien. That bit worked actually. Got a red buff steal. Tien punish the full court press though, because the negative of I'm going to push all lanes is okay, then you're vulnerable to ganks. Shanks had flash blown from level 3 Skarner, returned a little later, and then punished the flashless Orianna to get the first kill of the game. So you can see the strategies, pros and cons from Anyone's Legend. Thank you for the 50 gift bomb, Mecha.
Saint Mecha.
Saint Mecha. The patron saint of the LPL. Shahu's shockwave. Spear missing though.
Nearly a nice angle. Gets to run away there. Good double seismic shove. Doesn't need to all that.
Not that much, but hey, it's a nice feel-good moment. Flash down, but I suppose that's now something that could be punished by level 6 Tarzan. Level 6 Hope coming up soon as well. Grub spawning under a minute. AL blowing that summoner. This is what we call cooldown economy. You want to fight with that cooldown's down. Air wants to fight during the service. The Impale comes through.
Massive value turning around now. As in they come. All the damage available to them. Shanks now in danger as well. Big shove. Shanks beginning to find himself in a challenging position.
Yeah, it's 1-for-1. Tarzan has his flash, and we did say, hey, they wanted to punish that flashless Talia. They do, but it's at the cost of one themselves. Shanks has teleport, will be able to make it into the play. Shahu doesn't. Tien finds out Tarzan.
Doesn't walk into that bush there where the red buff isn't. It's out with the Vault Breaker. Arrow roaming up as well means his red buff is likely lost.
Grub spawning now. Don't think this is going to buy them the grubs completely, though, because everyone's respawned and managed to get back to the play in time. Hope to hit level 6 as well, so he'll have an Ash out to throw in to the play. Tien's going to walk over, start up towards this. Light will help with the rending as well. Weibo not falling for the early game machinations of AL in the way that the AL would have liked, actually. 2 grubs now down, Smite still available. They do still have that Ash arrow. That's an important thing to work around.
Tien doesn't have the ult, will slide on forwards, missing out on the root there is Kyle, of course, on the Seraphim, but the arrow you mentioned lands onto Ura, doesn't really turn into all that much, so it's a decent stun, but no one can really follow up, so they throw some ults, and about it, can't quite find the angle they're looking for.
Tarzan also ends up blowing his flash, too, out of the combo that was set up from Xiaohu, so AL now see Weibo with the 3 grubs, they got them that last time. Maybe looking for a continuation on the play up here. Doesn't have flash. Light has 6 though, can save him with the ults.
Oh, wonderful look there. But as you said, flash on him from Light brings them out with the Fate's Call. Gets huge value there.
Anyone's Legend trying their best to win around those grubs. They do have a slight gold advantage, of course. That's expected from the aggressive early lanes which they have. My problem is, how long is that advantage going to last, especially when you have very good gold buttons from Weibo in the likes of the Ambessa. In the second jump towards again.
No flash on Light. I chose the wrong moment to eat some cinnamon roll. I can only apologise.
Breathe, looking for that. I'll just keep kissing mate. I was like, how much does he actually want to cast this? Because he's still sat here in the seat. How much does he actually want to cast this like next team fight? Nope, he's taking a bite of blueberry cinnamon roll.
It's really good.
I will also have some in a second, Sam. Just not when there's grubs, which might determine a huge portion of the game coming through. In an upper bracket matchup between an underdog Weibo and Anyone's Legend looking to see if they can book a date with BLG.
Well, stands Weibo Gaming find themselves only a few hundred gold behind. Those grubs and stuff will make a nice little change in terms of their ability to play out the game. We've got a minute until next dragon. That might be the next look in for Anyone's Legend. 2 dragons early does help you out in terms of your macro options. We head into mid game proper.
Do we have any big breakpoints coming through just yet? No, it's just before first items come through, and especially with tier 2 boots being brought up by a lot of Weibo. It's not necessarily going to be all about them just yet. Breed's quite close to the Eclipse though, doing well to keep even with Flandrake. It's important to make sure that the Nidalee doesn't get huge individual value. Map hacks activated by Hope with the Hawk Shop, giving some vision of Air and Light coming down towards the lane, and Tien on the Crobs.
And back to standard lanes briefly. Both bot lanes are suddenly in their bot lanes again. Popping all over the place. And 30 seconds on that dragon, as we were kind of mentioning. Reset coming on through, and that's the heart steal can be for TN to absolutely understand why that back has come on through.
Yeah, he's done well in terms of the early fights. He is down in CS compared to Tarzan. Tarzan getting a good farm advantage, and that's definitely something which you don't want to get completely out of hand. No clips just yet for Breathe. Saying this again when it was locked in. Breathe might be our best ambassador in the LPL. This guy he's prioritized it a lot. I think that he's played 13 games of it this split. And he's had some really good games on him. This guy has been a real force of nature for Weibo. Often been someone they've focused on very hard to get ahead on the pick. Ult's coming through. Here comes the fight. There's flash from Hope. Uses it.
Had to find someone with the arrow there. Couldn't quite get it. Ends up having to burn that flash. TP now bot side. Encore flashed away from Tienta. Someone is blown, but no one dead.
Yeah, means that the Encore doesn't extend. But yeah, Tien not getting caught up there means that he'll be able to retain a little bit more HP. Dragon now started. Shanks on the flanking Oriana for now. Not in the best position for himself. Breed doesn't have teleport. This would be a 4v5. Weibo, you sure you want this?
I'm thinking about it. Tien goes driving on through. The beat drop doesn't really land.
Oh,
Shanks! Still gets him the dragon nonetheless. Is forced to flash all the while though. The ambassador still shoving topside.
Heal.
He's still looking for potential angle. Sees an assist into the root. Will mean a very dead Xiao who gets bailed out. But to what end? He's gone. And they pick up at least a kill on the back end of it all. Breathe gets a second plate.
But Weibo, you know that your top laner is not coming down to this. You are at best looking for a delaying action or a steal. They vaguely try and do both. Anyone's Legend have a teleport to respond to Breathe now. Yes, Breathe will get an individual advantage. We were just saying before this, Breathe has been given individual advantages in top lane on the Ambassador before because he's paid it back to his team quite well. But is this a cost you're willing to pay? 2 dragons, more gold going over to the side of AL too. Could be a problem.
There's Nidalee, not exactly at a Nidalee level of top lane annoyance. It's actually behind in gold, which is very unusual for a Nidalee top. So that's going to be a bit of a problem for Flandre, who was out that play and ended up costing a lot in terms of the individual advantage you might otherwise have gained. And we have seen Nidalee top a few times from people like Shy and Zeus in various parts of the world. But one of the core characteristics is you need to win the lane.
Especially because the later the game goes, the much harder it is to play it. The much harder it is to play out a game as a Nidalee who has to team fight. You can't even sit there as a poke bot because you're not building AP for the javelin toss damage. Whereas on the other side, the Ambassador, this is the kind of comp where an Ambassador can 1v5. You dive into the backline, you hit the Seraphine or the Ashe or the Oriana, 3 immobile champions which are squishy in the backline, you will one-shot. You'll do horrific damage to clumps of members. So perhaps Breathe with that gold does make a difference. Shanks no flash now. Remember he had to use it after airballing his ult. Does escape this time.
Can't find that much there as it stands. Again though, try and be as frustrating as possible here. Down a lot of CS. I know you mentioned it earlier, but it has now hit the 40 mark, which is a significant deal within the jungle. And yes, you're a Skarner. Yes, you got Heartsteel. To an extent, you're kind of online.
Yeah, but he's down a full level. He's level 8 to level 10. That's a huge issue. Because you're also meant to be the person face checking, the person going forwards. Anyone's Legend, they have used their pushing lanes to get via extra access to farm. However, even with that, this is a lot of gold to give
up,
over.
yeah.
Breathe does have the 3 grubs as well, worth noting too, using the Eclipse Shield and the Repudiation to shrug off some tower damage. Tien, you've got to catch up in some farm. This is a huge issue.
Well, that many camps up to take, unfortunately, is part of the issue. Look at the jungle. It's pretty bare right now. 2.5 minutes until the next dragon. That'd be sole point for anyone's Legend. And a Hex Soul this game when you're running with a Seraphine and Ashe. Hell, the Nidalee. Very good at proccing the lightning of Hex Soul on a regular basis. Can get very, very annoying here.
The Hextech Soul is one of those real game-changing, game-ending souls. Don't want to let that one go over. You can see the Weibo did look towards a steal on the dragon earlier. Again. Has that heart steal. It's okay in terms of items. Down a level though. Tarzan's going to walk over. We get towards that back line. No flash on Hope, remember.
Goes in. Tarzan begins to run away. He's about to get jumped on here. Forced to flash in case an Impale came onto the arrow. Also burned there. Hope a little bit trigger happy with those. Doesn't really hit anyone super valuable. The shockwave okay-ish.
Oh, he's popped over.
Is split in a very awkward position. The Weaver's Wall knocks him right back into everyone else, and he just dies for free.
Very good Weaver's Wall from Xiaohu. Honestly, Xiaohu on the Aurora last game was pretty impactful too. It's Lear, the champion which has been a comfort pick for many mid laners for many years. Good value there.
All the while, Hope is mid lane. TP's coming on through. Hang on, how's Tarzan taking turret aggro? What?
Your guess is as good as mine. Breathe can't save the turret. Tarzan is executed, but that means that their fed jungler is not here to defend the team. He's also not around for the dragon setup now. Xiaohu pushing top lane. What the hell did Tarzan just do?
I have so many questions and no answers. I'm hoping we get a replay there, because I'm assuming he just turned up the turret before the minions got there.
I mean, that tracks. That's normally how you take aggro, I guess, if you're not hitting a champion.
The insult of the tower's mother.
Your father was an hamster and your mother was mortar. I don't know.
You know, what's a good your mum joke for towers? Your mum was a palisade wall.
What? Why?
It's made of wood rather than stone, right? It's like a class joke, but for towers, you really
Damn, didn't take you as a classist person like that, Sam. No war except class war, remember? Xiaohu gets a really good wall onto Shanks to put him down into the grave. It was, yeah, he's honestly Xiaohu playing well in the first 2 games so far. I mean, I know he has been caught out by stuff like Tarzan, but you look at his Aurora, his walls here. Keep track of how he continues to play. Shanks has the flash back up now.
Does indeed. Got Dragon in 10 seconds, and that flash may become quite valuable here in the grand scheme of things. 1, 3, and 1 is Shanks, not having the best time here, but he's got his items, got his flash, as you noticed, and can look to turn things around here and get themselves soul point, which would be a big, big win con for anyone's legend.
Again, level 10 to level 10, but Tarzan about to tick over towards level 11. 3 grubs used by Weibo. Choosing not to immediately set up for Dragon, so get this gold on the tower while it's available. Xiaohu recalling, getting his second item potentially. Oh, not second item, but getting components for his next item. Completes it.
What is he doing?
That's a good question. He was in the enemy jungle, I guess, looking for people walking around. Ren now getting started up. And now he'll appear in the pit.
Teleport begin to play. He's in the pit. Got a Vault Breaker charge. Trying to hold on to it as long as he can. The arrow lands onto Tien. Goes starting on forward. The Dragon secured with the Ren combo. And so Weibo Gaming denied the Dragon setup.
And of course, Skarner can just go through walls. Doesn't really have to care about that. So Weibo get a tower. They get Dragon. Anyone's Legend, not really sure what they wanted to do around that. They kind of look for an opportunistic arrow, and you think, oh, the Skarner, they're behind the game, right? We can surely do some damage to them. Didn't really do much when they landed that arrow. Not willing to open up a second front on the fight where Light could potentially hop forwards and use the ultimate to force another play. Hope for being so affluent in this game, most gold in the game so far, not really having that much of an impact.
Not so far, no. I feel like the arrows have been unimpactful. Have we seen an arrow lead to a kill yet? Really? I'm not sure we have.
No, we haven't. No, it's not led through to that. It's given flashes, because it's burned flashes, but that's as best as it's gotten so far.
Should call the police about that.
Huh?
There's flashes on the rift.
Oh, yeah, no, that's very serious.
Yeah,
very serious. Annual's Legend, they are a comp which do have a harder time playing as the game goes on. We're now at 19 minutes. Gold is even. They don't have Soul Point. Weibo are getting towards key items like the Eclipse on and Breeze, which was built up earlier. Once he hits towards second, third item, that Ambassador is going to go absolutely wild in the backline. Annual's Legend, I think they put a timer on their composition, and I think that time is starting to tick closer towards 0.
Obviously, you've got the Enchanter and the Seraphine. You've still got the Ashe, the Orianna. Not exactly bad scalers, but easy here.
Can't protect the tower.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of it, right? Anyone's Legend. They don't have someone that can just bully people out from an area of the map. They don't have someone like a Scion that can stand up and charge Q. And the Enchanter is good, but it's not going to... It's also another person that can just die in the one-way combo. It's not someone that, again, can walk forwards like a Leona, press that W, press the get the aftershock, and be very, very tanky. Weibo take a gold lead, and I mean, Weibo, I think they should be favored compositionally from this point out. Anyone's Legend will have to find a way to, on a macro scale, or in teamfight execution, overcome this deficit.
These little things like the feat of strength now done. You've got Mikhail's done on arrow as well, so even if you do land a good arrow, not that necessarily going to turn into all that much more. See exactly what it turns into. And again, yes, things like the Callisto not exactly known for their great scaling, but I think in this game, not enough damage elsewhere to not have to worry as much about that. And if things aren't landing the combos, aren't finding the picks, then things get dicey for them as the games do go on. 2.5 minutes until next Dragon. Maybe that's another opportunity to turn things around, but I do need to see them set up for an objective a little bit cleaner this time around.
Well, maybe it'll help when Tarzan's not died to a turret just before.
I'm
not going to lie, the last Dragon, when Tarzan randomly executed the tower, became a lot harder to do, especially when it's like Tarzan with a level advantage of 40 CS lead in the jungle. You really... Hang on a second, he needs to be careful. He's too far away from the Callisto to buy that ultimate. Ships in the night. Well, not ships in the night. He was the ship in the night. He didn't see the others lurking in the water. More like a submarine, really. They go past that vision line now. And now Xiaohu, does he know? Can he ult out?
Here comes the arrow. Doesn't quite land. Flash for the season. Getting dragged over the turret. Tarzan going very deep with the shockwave on top. Equal. The encore comes on through. There is no equalizer, of course. But the line skill shot still comes on through. And Tarzan.
That's a lot of ults used.
That in they go to the backline, though, with that perfect execution. Public, I apologize. Not with Carly this time around. As eats a lot of damage back, though. My days. Just about survives, and they can't turn it around. Man down, and anyone's legend can turn back towards the Atakan.
That was really well played from anyone's legends to not jump on Erha and instead go towards Xiao, who once Weibo assumed that they were safe on that side of the map. Erha does have the hostile takeover. That ultimate needs to be key. Shank's taking a lot of damage. Remember, they're getting shredded by the Atakan.
We're looking for an angle. Doesn't have the ult. Sorry, also really low. Hostile takeover comes across many. Breathe into the backside. Will take down one. Atakan still spawning. They're just running at them all. They try to get some damage. Flanberg does nothing. He's got no mana. What do you even do as an Italy at this point? And Atakan just taken by Weibo Gaming.
Anyone's legend used too many ultimates to get that first kill, assuming that they could win in the 5v4 afterwards, but they just can't. Hostile takeover, magnificent. Breathe got into the backline, and AL couldn't keep their battle lines. They didn't have a tank to keep Weibo at bay, and they had no ultimates left to play the fight. Weibo increase their lead now, secure that Atakan, and even Tien can maybe give himself some access to a little bit more fun. Hooray, he can steal a camp now.
What he's going to do, we've got 30 odd seconds until another soul point attempt from anyone's legend. They may be forced to fight again here. This time they should have some ultimates up, and I wonder whether Weibo might be shy one or two of those. Have a look again here, because lands a wicked hostile takeover and gives Breathe a lot of space in the back.
And remember, this is without the Talir as well. They've just been shredded by the Atakan. They position quite poorly in regards to Breathe. He finds a very good angle into the backline, and Hope, despite the fact that he has a lot of gold, just can't be that huge turnaround damage. Weibo, they finally start winning some 5v5s. Last game, it was something that they couldn't really manage to do. Anyone's legend now will have to see another dragon go over. Weibo are in the driving seat this game.
And it doesn't look like anyone's legend wants to contest. They are happy enough to let that one go. They're going to try and play for some turrets instead, seems to be the idea. Flandre left alone in a 1v3 Nidalee here. Going to have very little to say about clearing this wave, I think. So this tier 2 likely to fall without much to be said.
Free grubs make it really, really easy, doesn't it? Not sure why Xiaohu's gone for the Blood Let's Go second, by the way. That is a decision of all time.
I noticed that, yeah.
Maybe, yeah, that's... Look, I saw Humanoid do it. I didn't like it on him either. Shanks will take down that top lane outer turret, and he'll get some gold back for himself. Currently, well, was down 700 gold, which cuts that to 400. Anyone's legend, I don't see what their win condition is now. Maybe a big enough wombo combo. If you catch... Hang on a second, Hope doesn't have summoners. Has to throw that ultimate out, because if Breathe had managed to ping an ult onto him, it could have been very deadly. That's how scared they have to be. That's how scared they have to be. I think the only way anyone's legend win a fight, win the game rather, is Baron Steel.
Yep.
Or catching 2-3 squishies, so probably Renata, Callista, and the Talia, all within a shockwave. I think it has to be all of them. I think if one of them escapes with the Ambessa as well, I don't think you win the fight afterwards. I think it's so scary at this point now you're not that far ahead. They needed to snowball more. You have a Nidalee top lane who is doing nothing. They're 700 gold behind.
Yeah.
You are not the lane leading Nidalee that we've seen before. You're effectively playing a 4v5 now.
I just feel that way. Flandre has got a Trinity Force and that's it, compared to Black Cleaver, Eclipse, and Chain Laced Crushes. That's just not fun. Again, only 700 or so gold behind, so it won't be miles off an item completion, to be fair. But it's not exactly a terrifying Nidalee, and it's certainly not obnoxious either.
Yeah, and we've covered this before, of course, too. But having 2 items to 2 items does not mean you are even in the game.
No.
Different champions need different amounts of items. Different champions need to be certain amounts of items ahead of their opponents. Nidalee, spikes in the first few levels of the game, and then once they hit 2 items when you're on like 1.5. Just hit the second item now and has gone for the Sterix. Hasn't gone towards something like the Sundered Sky or something like that. It gives them some survivability. Doesn't exactly give them the damage that they would like to have, though. Shanks has 2 items now. Has the Shadow Flame on top of the Ludens. Have to go for that burst build, really. Jumping forwards in mid lane. Hope still has no flash. Needs to be very careful. We'll get out with a little bit of move speed there. But needs to be very, very careful about their positioning.
Baron. Now up and in potential range. Look to do some work here. Good Weibo gaming around that. Again, they've already looked to be quite aggressive around those objectives, using the Ren combo to force anyone's legend into uneven smite fights. And looking a little bit more lost this game in general, really. Part of that's Weibo just having a much better platform to play around, all things said and done. Know how easy it's going to be for all that. Talia is 0-3-3. She is up 1,000 gold. Biggest gold lead in the game. What do anyone's legend do about this horrible map state, to be honest? Where they look, there is someone lurking in the shadows, it feels like.
You wait for a mistake. You have to wait for a mistake whilst also not committing one yourself. Hope caught out by the public execution. And Hope is gone.
Nice angle indeed, and he will die. It's a good encore, but where's the damage? The shockwave is solid, but no one really dies. The Fate's Call kept Ura alive. They are running out of damage here.
And now they don't have their AD carry. They don't have their encore. They don't have their shockwave. Dragon's up in 2 minutes, but I don't think that's going to be the angle of attack. Weibo, if they want, they could go towards the Baron right now. I don't see a reason why they shouldn't. Breathe gonna get jumped on, but I don't think they win this fight.
They do land a decent feed drop, but it means nothing.
It doesn't matter. They don't win.
No one cares about your hot number one. Breathe jumps over the wall and says, "I will just step all over you instead." That's the plan. And Besser gets the kill onto Tarzan. They lose mid jungle. Dragon's up in a minute, and Baron's up right now.
The goal of the game was wait for Weibo to make a mistake without making one yourself. They couldn't manage that second part, make a huge mistake in the mid lane. Great Weaver's Wall. Weibo pull the trigger incredibly effectively and breathe on the Ambassador, showcasing just how we respect this player and this champion so much. Ale will walk over for a contest, but it's against a Rend, it's against the Smite. You don't have one yourself. Not much to do here.
Trying to find something. Flandre gets hand shook. TP's beginning to fly. Uro's a little low, but that's really not the end of the world. As the Baron's gone down, flash away from Hope. But to what end? A flash on forward for the seismic shove, and Hope is dead again. Kyle, where do you run? There's nowhere to go. You're running towards the enemy Nexus. And that's all well and good, but you can't get there, can you? As Light picks up another 30 seconds on Dragon, and they got Baron on top of it all.
Weibo's strategy this game to say, look, screw the early dragons, let's get an advantage to breathe, has worked out so well. Flandre, this Nidalee has done nothing this game. 1 kill participation in 27 minutes, being down 2,000 gold. That's not the Nidalee top lane you want. Tarzan caught out again. The game's falling apart. It has totally fallen apart.
And the watershed moment has happened, and now the dam broken. As the flood of Weibo Gaming rushes across the map. Breathe topside will claim a tier 2. Dragon spawning now. Wave shoved everywhere you care to look, and anyone's legend may have to look for book 3 to find some redemption here from what has been an Empire Strikes Back of the game.
Tarzan and crew had a ambitious plan for this game. Get so far ahead early, invade, get a huge arrows landing, but that's a good stealth. Mikhail's actually from Era, good reactions there.
Jack, mate.
Of course, with the whatchamacallit, the Mikhail's has a slight delay on it too, so you have to self-cast it before it hits you. Catch onto Tien, is here.
Flash the handshake onto the Seraphim. Doesn't need all that much. The hostile takeover, not fantastic, but the Fate's Call will keep Ura alive. What more can anyone's actually find? They've gotten something here. They're trying to find a moment as the seismic shove comes on down onto Kyle, who does just get absolutely eviscerated. Bloodletter's curse stacking. Apparently not bad there in the 1v1, but immediately turned around by Tarzan and gets one. Shockwave pulls multiple back. Ura goes down. Public execution of the backside will at least claim Tarzan. They're going to keep running as there's only 2 members remaining. Light and Breathe caught onto the turret. Where's Light?
Breathe can still win this, by the way.
You can certainly look to his Light. I'm not so sure about getting slowed down now by the massive damage, certainly from a Shadow Flame completion on Shanks. Another kill picked up, and at least anyone's legend gets something at the back end of everything.
Whoa. What do you mean? At least they get something. Ale just denied 4 of the 5 Baron buffs. This is beyond just the at least. That's an insane win in the fight from AL. They managed to catch Weibo as they go 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, and 4 people suddenly die. It's still a bad game state for anyone's legend because they're still behind, but this should have been the killer blow Baron, and now it's a bit more of an open-ended question. Era goes forwards. It's not a great hostile takeover. It doesn't catch Hope. If he catches Hope with that, then the Ashe starts to, do a lot of damage after that. But then Xiao, who goes in afterwards, Airhook tries to come to the defense because Hope still wants to use the bailout, and basically everyone just kind of goes in, loses a bit of HP. They don't form up their battle lines, good shockwave afterwards, and I mean, AL will be thinking it's an absolute gift, because it is.
How many flashes have blown there as well? There's no flash on the Callista, you burned it on Ura. There's no flash on Ambessa. Light gets run down afterwards as well. Big moment for anyone's legend. Yes, it's still down sell point. Yes, it's still an awkward position. Oh, we're down, what, 4,000 gold? Let's make no bones about that. It's a tricky position to be in. But you have now got a 3rd item onto this Ashe. You are in decent parity in mid lane, even if, of course, there's still the full Zhonya's completion from Talia. We've already questioned somewhat the build. It's very defensive from Xiaohu. Whereas Shanks, if he hits a good combo, will murder people.
Good roots, good arrow.
Arrow into the encore across
okay, that's too much now. That's too much now. You just spent how many ults on that? That's 2 ultimates. Not sure about that one. Cherry doesn't even take that much damage, really, because, well, no. Your Ashe arrow is not exactly the most damaging thing from the Ashe's kits. Your auto attack's got that Infinity Edge. Credit to Hope, by the way. Really found a good angle to run forward in that last play. Maybe maybe an Ashe can do enough to take down 1 or 2 straggling members from Weibo. Find it quite hard to think he can do that into the Ambessa is the problem for me, who has upgraded Merc Treads for, you know, tenacity, a little bit the magic damage shake off from the other members trying to peel away from the Ashe. And he has 3 items, including a Serpent's Fang, which will deny a lot of the value from that Seraphine. 2 minutes until the Dragon, which would be Hextech Soul for Weibo. Not even sure Weibo really need that to end the game. All they need is someone out of position, throwing over the Weaver's Wall in. I think the game will solve itself.
Yeah, that's going to get a bit tricky, isn't it? Randuin's done now for TN as well to really make people feel a bit sad. The Void Staff at least now done for Shanks, so there is that. This Orianna will hurt. If she lands a Shockwave, she lands a good dissonance. You hit that onto Light and he will pop. Minute and a half until Dragon. Hexalt turns things again. Make again, no bones about it. Weibo Gaming are in the lead. It's just not the knockout blow that it should have been.
Shanks, hang on a second. Shanks is quite far up in this bot lane now. Every time someone's pushing up quite far, I do just question whether there's a teleport play, whether there's a snap engage. AL, on the whole, are a bit of a death ball composition. Click back onto the... It doesn't work onto the Skull Crab, actually. AL trying to keep together as a big unit, because that's the only time they're safe. They will take an outer turret. Currently, though, getting pushed in the mid lane. Remember, this is what happened to Weibo last game. You go one side, we have the 3 grubs, we'll push in the other.
All resetting and sending everyone back. I don't know what they should do, but they are bringing everyone back to base, and the inhibitor turret is at least going to go. And now they've reset too late. Dragon's up in 50 seconds. At least it's not the inhibitor itself, but it is exposed. That means one bad fight here, and the game is over.
I do love how these are 2 of our teams, alongside maybe BLG, that are most willing to say, okay, bet, we'll go for a cross map. Like, they will say, you're pushing one lane, we'll push another, and we'll see who comes out on top. Both of them very good at calculating time to kill towers on the fly, and when they're ahead of the game, they use that as a great weapon. Now 30 seconds till Dragon, where AL did have to reset. They worked quite hard to get themselves on the bot side of the map. That was undone by the macro of Weibo.
Well, no, Tarzan went to his quads, rushed them, because it just got him a GA completion. Could be massive here for this fight. Xiaohu off vision, looking for a good Weaver's Wall angle. Split people off here as the Dragon spawns in 10 seconds. Shanks, a potential angle. Got a Elixir of Sorcery running.
So, AL, they need a wombo combo. They need a huge shockwave with the 3 out to Mariano to multiple people. Tien's pushing bot side. There was potentially an engagement with the arrow. Misses Hope. Again. Not been accurate with them this game.
Base under siege. Now looking at turns when Tien gets run at. Eats a fair amount of damage there, actually. And they're not on the Dragon first. All the while, though, Breed is just winning the game. Inhibitors going down.
Teleporting now. Here comes the wall.
The Encore comes on through, traded out with a potential hostile takeover available to turn that around. Shockwave still up. There's the hostile takeover we talked about. There goes the Seraphine down, and Breed in the backline. Just Drakehound steps all over them. Begins to lacerate and slam some more down. Hope alone does not spring eternal. His ankles are broken. Tarzan now needs to run away, but Hexol was claimed all the while. And the game is over. We are going to 2. 1 apiece. Weibo Gaming just buying some time. The rest of their members head into the base, and Tarzan has nowhere to go.
Anyone's legend. They're going to keep... try and keep Tarzan alive. The alley-oop as he'll get over towards his own side of the map. That actually might mean the game doesn't end here, by the way. Weibo... They pushed in towards that, well, they pushed in the bot lane inhibitor, but they pulled off of that to try and kill Tarzan. He is still alive. I guess they wanted to kill him just in case he went back for a base defense. Trying to secure his blue buff now.
Does get it, so credit to Tarzan. His base is broken, Hexel secured, but despite the kills and everything else, they can't quite find a way into the enemy base, and the game continues.
Continues both as Axel for Weibo, so let's be honest, this game is a victory lap now for Weibo. I thought there was an angle with Breed teleporting in so late for maybe a quick combo, something like that from anyone's legend, but it would be okay getting some chunk onto Skarner, but it doesn't win you the fight. You need to get something onto the Talir, onto the Callista. I really like how Weibo open up multiple angles of attack and say, right, you're just not going to get a good encore. The hostile takeover midway through the fight there is really, really good here. It just opens up so much space for Breathe and Light to dance around. You're not making out of this play once Breathe and Light start DPSing.
Yeah, and like, the Encore hits 4 people, and there's a Mikhail's and a Cleanse. So what do you actually get out of the Encore? For all that it feels good in the moment, it's very hard to get anything that resembles a good Encore. Baron has just started.
Baron started. And a reminder, this is a 4 Hextech Dragon, Hextech Soul as well. The attack speed and the cooldown available for the team is absolutely insane. Tarzan is on a flank, does have flash, does have ultimate, misses the Q onto her.
Run a potential turnaround, flashes away. Baron still being DPS'd. Anyone's Legends need to find their way in down to 3,000 HP, and they've got no stacks in it, but it doesn't matter. Baron secure, public execution to the backline, and Breeze begins to pop. They throw an Encore, it's not bad, but Hope is dead, and that means a lot more for Weibo Gaming. Breeze continues to keep pouncing. The Drake House up to good, that Shockwave would have been
lovely if you had anyone else to get some damage down. Kyle, the last man alive, and he's not going to be alive for all that much longer. The beat is dropped, and so is the game as anyone's legend are dropped into a mass grave, courtesy of Weibo.
We'll have at least 4 games today. Weibo, much like yesterday, winning on the blue side, losing on the red. 2 games of blue side wins so far. Anyone's legend, our number 2 seed. Maybe a bit of sweat. Weibo took down the 3rd seed just before them. We're going to an even series. The script perhaps revisiting itself.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Weibo Gaming engage in playoffs. Managed to right the wrongs of game 1.
Even series, it is. Weibo, much better team fighting from this game. This is one of the worst drafts I have seen in this era, in like this split of League of Legends. The Sion last pick going towards the top lane is completely fine.
Just unending despair.
This is anyone's legend.
Hollow Radiance.
Anyone's legend have locked in perhaps the worst composition I've seen in the LPL this split. I cannot believe this is the draft they've ended up with. Like, they have, their engage is a stolen Rakan ultimate or perhaps a stolen Sion ultimate. Besides that, you have a Volibear flash queuing. They have so much magic damage. As soon as Weibo get Sion with any amount of magic resist, I think their team fights get much harder. Maybe anyone's legend can win through good early laning phase and a huge snowball. They tried that last game, it didn't work. I think Weibo have a golden opportunity to take a win. So let's get into the Rift and let's hear some of the gyros.
敌军还有30秒到达战场。
And thank you again for the gift bomb, Katari as well. Lots of people being very generous today, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you everyone for helping us in our LPL journey. We're not the biggest stream out there, but we try and give you the best product we possibly can. I've spent God knows how many years of my life covering the LPL now. I was on the official broadcast for 2 years. 2? Yeah, 2 years, 23, 24, and then coming into this year. I've still kept carrying that torch. I'm one of the most veteran LPL casters now in terms of the people that have stuck around for it. I've cast over 1,000 LPL games, and I still enjoy turning up to work. And I hope you enjoy that too. Another 5 gift bomb, this time from Adalast. We've got a hype train over on Twitch. Regardless of where you're watching, whether that is an Onivia, which is a restream of this stream over on Twitch and on YouTube, for myself, Nymaera, and Initialise, my brother. Couldn't do it without him, of course. Both of us put a lot of time into this. It's great to be able to turn up into playoffs and to really assess the level up. LPL playoffs doesn't always accurately reflect what happened in the regular season. A lot of teams don't necessarily find their feet until it is in those high-pressure best-of-5s. Level 1, obviously a very important part of the game for Ezreal Karma. Not getting a big chunk right now. Light Air getting access to farm. I mean, I think that Light Air are completely fine with their level 1 so far. They don't want to stack up for the 2 level Q, which is exactly what they do. Airhead there also pings the Q back, gets the heal off of it. Playing well on the Rakan there, actually. Airhead, not the best first game of the series. The second game was better. He's not been the main character so far. How can you stay sane from casting more than 1,000 LPL games? Am I sane? Questions upon questions. Shanks 3-0 on the pick of Silas. Hope 6-1 on the Ezreal. These are powerful champions for the individual players. Opinion of KC versus Fnatic performance? Frankly embarrassing from Fnatic. You know, they're a team which should be winning titles, and they've said that they should be winning titles. They're now 0-2. They haven't made a single final. Things are not good for them. And the coaching staff has echoed that. Of course, team like JDG, perhaps with their run into the lower bracket now, we'll see whether they have a similar crash out as potentially Fnatic may have. Tarzan, I mean, let's be honest, folks. Anyone's legend need to get something done probably within the first 15 minutes of the game.
That's pretty insane.
I'm being a little generous with saying first 15 minutes. I wanted to see good level 1s, maybe a gank at level 3 to snowball a lane and get a flash out of it. That's not happened yet either.
Well, you know what else needs to happen in very short order? We've got 2 minutes 44 left on this hype train. Yeah, that needs to happen in short order too, folks. And there how it is as topside gank comes on.
Oh,
he's dead! He's gonna hit the Destiny Smash. That's crashing out in real time.
Flandre's Gwen, a pick which has been so powerful. just gave over first blood to the tank which can stack magic resist and make anyone's Legend's life an absolute hell. This is a very good gank from Tien in the overall importance of the game. Tien can stick around, get this topside scuttle. Weibo, that is a gift.
Alex could just see me with my head in my hands right now. I
Yeah.
am horrified.
Yeah. Oh, JDG eliminated? No, JDG are not eliminated. There is a lower bracket. Weibo beat them to send them down into the lower bracket. JDG will now face Team WE, I believe on... Might be tomorrow, actually, they play against them. Not exactly sure the order of the games.
I swear to God, if Weibo Gaming somehow, after a season of mediocrity, make another international event, Xiaohu goes to another MSI.
Folks, I genuinely think Weibo are more KT Rolster than KT Rolster. Yes, KT Rolster, like they have this whole, wow, never believe in them, they're so inconsistent, blah, blah, blah. Weibo actually do that, then win and go to international events. Xiaohu not going to get hit by the E, does have the W onto him, gets that passive down, but...
It's all comes on down as well. It's not really lethal that much, is it? So...
Nah, it's just not enough damage. Xiaohu's just looking to get the wave in the right kind of place. Shanks will have to tank the wave here, which is not his favorite thing ever. Xiaohu doesn't actually get the full crash here, which is a bit annoying for him.
That, to be honest, playing the cannons there, that's not a...
Tarzan's coming over. Xiaohu does see him. I think Tien needs to be here. Kyle could come in for the
Tien is there.
Three-man play. Shanks will now start to push the wave back out. Xiaohu will get access to farm. Not a bad attempt by Shanks to try and manipulate the wave, get Xiaohu into a bad position.
He's still going to have to stick around in lane. We'll finally crash it, but the reset gets to be a potential option for Shanks. But instead, looks for Roam instead. Throws down a ward over the mid lane wall. Flandre about to be dived here. Is in his own hallowed mist, though. Welcome to the dance floor. A Space Groove Gwen throws up a disco ball and says you can't hurt me under here.
A question in chat. Who do we think are the top 3 teams within LPL right now? Obviously, we're in the process of deciding that. Tarzan's going to take that first dragon. That being said, you know, this is bare minimum. You need to get the objectives. You need to get those kills. And bare minimum, I do mean bare minimum. No, Sam, that's a separate reference. The bare minimum is making a word pun on
bear. I know, I wanted to join you with...
No, but Sam, then you have to set it... We are professionals, Sam. I expect better for you. Some 3 LPL teams. I mean, I think BLG are, for me, best team in the region. I think as soon as Top Esports showed that performance against them, that became... look, MSI is... BLG are going to MSI for me. They would have to be 2 teams better than them to deny them that, and I don't think that's the case. Anyone's Legend, with these drafts... I might have to revise my opinion of them. They are a very good team at revising how they go about the game. You know, have a very advanced coaching staff. Strategically, they are a very impressive team. But somehow, some way, Weibo are on the list now after beating JDG. BLG, the only thing I know for certain is BLG is our top team right now.
Yeah.
After that, we have a clump of teams that need to figure their stuff out.
It should be Top Esports, but they got rolled, and it was not close. And a lot of the cracks I'd seen forming through the regular season got exposed very hard there. That was a little bit problematic. Of course, now we need to give a look potentially to topside area. Tries to find an angle and hope buffers well through that with the arcane shift. And again, it's not like I'm looking at any of these players and going, oh, you're on champions, you're uncomfortable on. It's just as a composition. How do you start fights, anyone's Legend? Like, Karma W? Ooh.
Yeah, you have to... I mean, you have to start it with like a stolen Rakanal. That's as good as it gets. No, you have to get either a massive macro outplay where people are massively out of position and single target CC will do enough. And I just don't see how you get that now. I mean, Light is down a bit of CS. Okay, winning lane for AL in the bot lane. Sure, but then you've had to lock in a Karma to achieve that, which doesn't help you in mid and late game. Weibo are fine with some lane deficits as long as they get towards mid-game within a decent amount of gold. They're actually ahead currently in terms of that gold. Grubs are spawning. Weibo, as long as they don't die for a Grubs fight or something like that, I think Weibo are very happy.
Yeah. Again, we've seen low CC comps work before, but they normally have other ways to play the game. Poke, great example of that back in the day. People got the or you could have gone for a poke comp maybe, but that's...
Or major split pushing or something like that.
Or just like really good skirmishing. Like, yeah, I've got Nymaera, I can win by getting on top of you and killing you. Sometimes you see that, and maybe you can try and do that this game, but Grub's being contested right now. Tarzan presses Q and goes wee-woo, wee-woo. But that's about all he can do. Instead attacks a Grub. Light now coming on down. He's a little bit deep, but can begin to throw some feathers. The Deadly Boom comes on down.
Wow, forcing the
away.
ult.
And that's a Grub taken in turn from Weibo.
So that's 2 for 1. Shanks coming through. That's cancelled on the realm warp.
It is indeed. Look for a bit more of a play. TN with a good crest go, but it's returned in favor by Shanks, beginning to heal himself. Gets shielded by Karma. Flashes away from TN. He's looking to get to another 3 Talon Strike. Light into the air with the Feather Storm, trying to get some value as Tarzan brings down 1. Shanks goes looking for him, gone to the duck. Over the wall they go. Kyle flashes on in, gets the focused resolve onto Xiaohu, who tries to run best he can. Mystic Shot just wide. Light no mana. Xiaohu no health. And that makes this very dicey indeed. Mystic Shot lands.
Ezreal ult.
True Shot barrage tags him. Another down. Good call on that one, Nymaera. Now we can continue to look under this turret as light. I think might be turning into grey screen very shortly. Another pickup for anyone's legend. They skirmish their way to another set of kills.
The one thing that Weibo couldn't afford to do, giving up a big fight at the Grubs, of course happens because it's Weibo. Anyone's legend get 4 kills and Weibo buy into a fight that they should know they don't need to take. At worst, give up 1 kill or something. You don't have to rally around to die in unison. Weibo were on a great trajectory from the early game. This is bad terrain for Weibo. I think that Xiao had to immediately flash out, but I typically has been very good at realizing that. Just flash out immediately. Don't give the chance to have the realm walk cancelled. And then leave. Just leave. Leave someone to die, not everyone. No, Tarzan forcing another flash out from Light from the slow potential of the E alongside the chains on Shanks there. A big mistake from Weibo to not just lose 1, but then kind of not cut their losses.
True Shot barrage tagging Xiaohu there. I mean, there was no real way out as well with Kyle on the other side with another W up, but that is a rough sequence to have happen to you. And we said, look, we're not a massive fan of anyone's Legends composition per se, but we've never necessarily had issues with their hands.
I just can't believe I'm saying like, well, I guess there's one way the game could go badly, and that's dying a Grot. Of course it happens. Of course it happens after that point. It's Weibo bloody gaming. That's actually what the B stands in there. It's not just Weibo. It's Weibo bloody gaming. We're very British.
Weibo bloody gaming.
Weibo British gaming.
Huge tracts of grubs.
Yeah. So now you have 1,000 gold lead on Hope's Ezreal, which is the one physical damage threat really on this team from anyone's legend. Weibo, I mean, if they now need to make sure they don't fall too far behind. Dragon is now spawned. Weibo did get themselves 1 grub, which stops the 3 being put through from anyone's legend, but they will need to be aware that they are now playing against a significant deficit for this point in the game.
What you consider this dragon family, a very real, very legally binding sense.
Shanks now trading up with Greed, who just yells. Got good breath control to pull off a yell like that. Roar of the Slayer.
Yep, and it comes out with some phlegm attached to it too, so his dental hygiene not the best. Tarzan claims another dragon, and we'll see what soul we get. Ocean Soul. Okay, so that's, you know, pretty impactful when you have tanks on the game, and you have some, I say in that terms of the sign, doesn't apply to Anil's Legend, but it does help with the shields and stuff too. Anil's Legend will want to make sure they use this Ezreal like a wrecking ball. They need to use this early advantage. Kyle doesn't have flash. You get caught out here.
Again, a bit of a chunk there onto the Karma, who backs away but has lost a little bit of their HP. Really led to all that much early on. It's actually gone towards the 8th of Wisp here early, but it's not necessarily a... I'll have you a moment. What's the one that gives you empowered shielding and healing?
I don't know support items. I don't touch the roll.
Dream something?
Dream Spike.
Moonstone, that's what I'm thinking of.
Like the Dream Spike is the support item. That's without components into it.
Yeah, no, it's Moonstone Renewer is the one I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, and doesn't have flash, does have ulti mining to use it. He's caught out here badly.
Well, turns into a pin cushion, and Gwen will make sure that he's helping her sew some new clothes.
So he didn't have the flash. No one was coming up to help him. Quite lazy positioning there from Tien. Weibo can't afford to give up these easy picks. This is exactly what AL want to do in this early game. They're now ahead solid 2,000 gold. And Weibo can't. That is the way they lose this game. It is in fact the only way they really lose this game. AL will really struggle to teamfight later into the game. Weibo need to keep an eye on that. Breathe has himself his first magic resist item of the game, which is bad news for anyone's legend because it means that the Gwen gets less value, the Silas gets less value in their side lane as well. If Breathe gets ahead on the magic resist matchup into this team, it's a big problem because AL are very much overloaded on that damage type.
That they will. Again, we'll keep our eyes on it because they're trying to pull a Doctor Strange here, or anyone's actually trying to find the one way to victory that exists from the draft. And so far, in fairness to them, for all we've had our, I think, legitimate complaints, they have actually played out the early game well here.
They have. Weibo left the opening, but now they have that lead. Let's see if they can do something special with it. I think the Silas has some... You need to stop punching the microphone, Sam. It's like the 3rd time today. What's it done to you, Sam? All it's done is carried our voices to the world. Huh?
Genuinely what it is the pop shield is out of vision of my, get the glasses block it off from me. And if I'm
your
looking at
blind
the
spot.
screen, I don't look down because I'm looking at the screen, so I can't actually see it's in a legit blind spot.
That's, should learn that from driving, Sam. Doesn't mean that. Oh, by the way, the car was in my blind spot, you know. I didn't mean to crash into it. Get that sticker on the back of the glasses, wide load or something. No, that's for trucks. It's a little bit different. Okay, anyway. Going very much off-road. And we don't have a 4x4. We only got the 2 of us here.
5v5 actually.
Yeah, I know. Shame that they got rid of the 6v6 word for Overwatch, you know. The game really fell apart after that. 2 minutes till Dragon. Side lanes, not really doing much for anyone's legend right now. And at least for Weibo, the gold lead's not increasing, but they're not really getting any presence on the map now. Tian falling behind in the early game on the Shinzao means that the Shinzao will struggle to be as useful as well.
We are going to hit a point as well where, particularly if you start getting Ocean Soul, things like Ezreal, things like Gwen and Silas in a side lane become a lot harder to manage in those 1v1s or small-scale skirmishes. Team fights a little different. That, at least, could be very tricky. A minute and a half until that's a potential option.
Good point from Mabinogi in chat as well. Good friend of ours, Sarah, saying that the Shurelias coming through for Kyle kind of engage light. That's not a bad point, actually. Giving the Shurelias to the Volibear to run forwards, the Gwen too, it helps you use what limited ability you have to gap close a little better with some extra move speed thrown on top of it, especially with someone like Tien, who, if they have to go backwards without the flash, can really struggle to do so. So big chunks getting an all-in on top side.
Get a fairly decent chunk there. Petrified Burst comes on through, eats a bit of damage back, but is happy enough with the slightly more successful trade. Tien now coming on down.
Weibo, let's not die for this too bad. They do get towards the Herald now and they start leashing it. Here comes the Gwen sign in as well. Maybe Breed can be a big enough frontline for them.
Tien went forwards onto the Herald with audacity. Realm Warp into the backside as Shadow turns on up. Chain Slam comes on through. Trying to find somebody. Shank's a little split off, but will hijack a Crescent Guard.
Why did he give him the option to do that? Breed now trying to hold the front line. Can Tien get a smite steal?
All the while, the back end, Xiao Hu is being traded out with Shanks. The Herald was secured all the while by Tien. Continue to play for now, as in they go with the Stormbringer. Looking for some damage. Wait for the Feather Fall as well. Could be very scary. Light looking to find an angle. He's going to go down. The first gone through too late. They're still going to win Shurelia's value. And they just walk at them menacingly. And they win the fight. A triple kill over to the side. I hope he can't quite bring down the Sion with the True Shot Barrage. But the work is done.
All Weibo needed to do was not die at these early objectives. That was their route to loss. And they found the eye of the needle and threaded it anyway. Anyone's Legend coming away with a significant early lead. Yes, the Herald was killed by Weibo, but they don't even get to pick up the eye itself. It's not in any of their inventories. There's a smite steal, but Weibo, you are playing with very dangerous early games here. Now, Xiao, who's left alone versus the Stars, who's not winning the 1v1 versus right now. Tien also gave him access to the Shinzao ultimate very early on. Not really sure that was a good idea. Flash of Flash, still going to be Shank staying alive, right? And because it's a fight on multiple angles, the tank of Breed's Sion can't really keep his team safe. He's the last one to die in the team, but it's because his team chose to take fights without him in front of them.
I genuinely worried for anyone's Legend partway through that because the feathers were all lined up perfectly and the cooldown wasn't available for life.
This is really important. This is really important right here, so we'll have to cut off that conversation. If they get this dragon, they can delay the dragon stacking. They need to not die for it again.
Shanks in the backside, they can get to stop this dragon stacking. Look to play this on out regardless. Shanks with the quick and stolen can look to go into the backline. Looking now, finds the abduction on top of the Zai, who's dead. Hope will Arcane shift forward. Root still lands onto Xiao, despite him taking the blast cone. Z-axis, not really a thing in League of Legends, although Shanks gets a chunk onto Tien, who does get some decent healing back. Dragon secured, though, in trade for just one. What could be worse?
So that's the best objective trade they've had this game, but they only lose one person. Still the AD carry, though. And Weibo, the wheels are coming off the train a little bit. Anyone's Legend are getting very large gold leads. They're getting the mid lane out of turret pushed in as well, which makes it harder for Weibo to play defensively. Mid lane turret, very important for keeping vision and pressure and presence up on the map. Flandre will take bot lane out of turret as well. And Anyone's Legend, real credit to him, they've managed to find multiple angles in these big early fights, find ways to execute with good early damage, but without that CC, and they might just be able to make this composition work. This is not a good draft. We were saying that from the champion select, and you can understand why. But playing it like this is about the only way you can win with it. And welcome to the LPL, where sometimes the champions locked in don't matter.
Shirelia's value is genuinely proving really high. I'm glad Mabby called it out. I was wondering what the Aether-Wisp was going to turn into. There's your answer. That is helping, and in fairness to anyone's legend, every single member wants to run forwards if they can, especially Hope with all these kills as well. Target access is what you're really after this game, so any way to continue jumping forward, to continue getting into melee range is very, very valuable here. Or at least being able to follow up, because the CC isn't. You just have to hit your skill shots instead.
Hope with this amount of gold can win any team fight for them now. I think with this amount of gold, early 2 items, going to get the hang on, here comes the Realm Warp, trying to make a big macro play. If they can, but there's no way. If they're going with Breathe first, he doesn't have that much armor to tank the turret.
Smith actually can come through that part. Flandre does get a fair amount of needle working through. It's a decent amount of healing, buying a lot of time. It's taking a long time for Flandre to fall. Will eventually go down, and Breathe is tanky enough to be a problem. Tarzan, though, roams towards this mid-tier 2, and that might well be the trade. Weibo will get a turret and a kill, but all the while, Shanks is shoving top. Tarzan, I hope, will get the mid-tier.
However, Weibo have the objective bounties, so they will get more out of this. The fact that they have objective bounties is
hilarious.
Just tells you the way this game has been going, of course. Xiaohu will get some extra gold out of that. Weibo scrambling to get some value out of the map. The top lane matchup hasn't been the big issue, which potentially can be in other games. Gwen into tanks, typically very, very scary. Breathing out 2 items. If Weibo can have a fight around Breathe being the front line, maybe there's an angle, but their carries have so little damage now. It's going to be a big issue cutting down anyone. Andre clearing out the wave well. And as you were saying before, basically, you know, Breathe doesn't have that much armor. Wandering very nearly turns it around. Yes, it's still hanging on fight in the jungle.
Tien has his crescent guard broken, and oh my days, Hope's damage is foul. Does go and secure the kill on Tien with a little assistance from the rest of the squad. Shanks looks up to his namesake. He's gone for a second item, Medjais. 12 stacks.
And look, this is a game where you need to snowball. You need to go through that early game. Good recognition from Shanks saying, okay, let's snowball. Let's get this power in the early game. And if I die anyway, let's be honest, the game would have already been difficult. So, Medjais, that's the item for you. I wish more players had that kind of recognition. It'd be very important to notice that kind of snowballing. Atakan's going to go down on the top side of the map. Weibo looking to get a chunk onto mid lane out of turret, but they can't finish it at all.
Shanks has still got the hijack crescent guard as well, so he's very scary here. While Flandre has burned his needles somewhere in the play. Backs away, potentially looking to nab some Krugs.
I just can't believe that Weibo through all those early fights, man. Just
I can. Just
Weibo. But like, think about it this way, folks. This is the game state they have for getting a grub and the Herald denied. They didn't get to use it themselves. What would the game look like if AL did get 3 grubs and the Herald, but they didn't get those kills? Yes, maybe a turret or 2 falls, but I think that you wouldn't get nearly as much gold on the Ezreal. I feel like Weibo would be so much more happy with that. This will be one for review, folks. I think Weibo not aware of how at risk they were at those early fights, where arguably AL are strongest compared to them before it really becomes about big team fight 5v5 later with more CC. Flandre gets hit by that slow, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Weibo trying to move around the map to support that push in topside.
Seems to be. Tien off vision here. Could try and catch one out, also on a flank angle. And we will still have this issue for anyone's legend that they do not have that much CC. Flandre is about to potentially get jumped here. He's down at half HP. Has got a Rift Maker, so theoretically can Omni-Vamp his way back up to something resembling some safety.
Not sure about that one.
But I don't think he'll have any opportunity to. And Weibo do get a nice, easy kill there onto the Gwen with no real response from anyone's legend.
No, this is important for Weibo because, again, any amount of gold they get like this, towers like this as well, they won't get an objective bounty. They claimed that one earlier. Closes the gap a little bit more and brings things back towards parity. The closer towards that they get, the more they can play around a 5v5 teamfight identity with a strong tank they can get towards later.
Got down there onto Flandre, who does end up getting taken out. They can look at this tier 2 as well. They'd love to try and look at the Dragon potentially here. Soul Point, still a wink on here for anyone's legend, but for all we've been going away, but what the hell was that in the early game? We still have compositional issues. They can still look to be problematic as this tier 2 is just being run at by Weibo, who feel like they finally hit the point where they can be dangerous. Still though, maybe an angle here for anyone's legend. Hijacked quickness.
Flandre didn't have teleport, would have been very dangerous to go towards that play, because that's the kind of fight where you would have to go through the Scion, and that's the kind of fight which you're at risk of losing. Maybe Hope can make that less of a factor because he is so strong on the Ezreal and can actually do significant damage to the Scion who's built majorly.
Another Negatron cloak.
He's going towards the Jacksha at this point, because he's got the chain vest in there as well, and that'll make it very hard to cut through him. Dragon will be taken by anyone's legend, but by taking that one dragon earlier, did delay the soul coming through. That is actually the most important objective they've taken in this game so far. They lost the one kill for it earlier. I guess the towers falling afterwards made it less good of a trade at that point, but at least denying an early dragon soul makes a difference.
3 steps on forward, Soul Furnace running, and of course Hope nowhere near anything like a Cyrilda, so doesn't really touch this Scion right now. Flandre will spot Weibo Gaming in the river. We've got ourselves about 1 minute and 20 until Baron. Takan on the...
Shanks on the flank, Shanks on the flank. What? Look at it.
That quickness gets a big chunk on the light. Just go up into the air. Crescent Guard comes down from Tien. Has yet to pull the feathers back. Still in danger. They've blown up the volley bet. But Tien likely to be traded. But good flash over the wall keeps him alive. Shanks goes flashing for the chain lash though. Needles flying. in danger. Misses the grand entrance because it backed away from. Realm Warp out. Light just out of range of the abduction. He'll keep people running away and alive.
Forward!
Forwards! He's going to get run on. Eric has to knock him alongside the decimating smash. And Weibo can look to win the team fight, but all the while Shanks is so bloody deadly. Kyle's giving him all the shields. They can't bring down Silas. He's utterly terrifying. They can get to Karma though. Xiao trying to run, trying to buy time, can't. And now Shanks in the 1v1 with this Scion. He's got no ult, no flash. He's just got HP in a dream. And Shanks wins these. He's got 25 stacks after this fight. He wishes he had a few more pages available in this volume to continue getting more value. Misses that abduction.
He can't
quite kill him.
It ends up being a 4 for 4. All things said and done, and we see what the game could have been like if Weibo hadn't thrown the early plays. You look at me, you look at this game, and you envisage what it could have been if Weibo weren't that far behind. Weibo have a very, very good front to back. The Scion is unkillable. They have carries which should be able to stand behind them and gun down the first member into the play. Weibo, you could have had such an easy win if you had not entered in the early game. Starts off the Shanks with the quickness, great damage onto Light, does manage to disengage. And look how much better it looks when Tien and Breed get to stand in front of the carries when they actually get towards multiple items. They don't have the damage to kill through Breed. They give so much freedom for the backline of Weibo to actually get damage back.
A Realm Warp away actually gives them the potential re-engage against Shanks. Now missed 2 abductions onto Light in this fight. It's the melee range one and that flank range one just doesn't quite work out. And then that from Hope, kind of sucks.
I will say, also kind of sucked though from Light, who ran into melee range of Shanks. Like Light's positioning in this series so far has been poor. His Varus in game 1, not one he'll want to revisit. Right here, walking close enough towards Shanks. I know he thinks, yes, I'm cleaning up the last kill. Your Scion is not dying. He can do it for you. You don't have to die. We are within 2,000 gold, 2.5 minutes on the Dragon. But the big problem is, it's just the carries of Weibo. I'm just worried that they don't have the damage to make it worthwhile for the tank of Breathe to be staying alive. The Scion staying alive doesn't matter if no one is actually making use of the time you buy.
That's for sure. Ezreal, bit of a spear of Shojin is now as well, has not gone towards anything like Cyril, just wants to get through as many attacks and abilities as he can.
Well, it's not like there's that much armor on the other side, right?
No.
There's more mainly about that increase, the raw % increased damage from Shojin, which gives you, what, 12% of max stacks at 4. And then, of course, the extra cooldown ends up giving you over the course of it. So, Weibo, you're at 2.5 items now yourself. Breathe gets himself the Jack Show, which makes him, oh my god, so hard to kill because of the increased resist you get from it. He has an extra 1200 HP from his Soul Furnace stacking. He has level 16. Breathe, if he peels well enough, maybe there's a hope for Weibo, but AL, 25 stack Magi's on the Silas, starting up Baron now. They want to force another fight.
Cosmic Drive's done as well, and an arm guard for Shanks.
Light's running out of base, he's not here right now, so slow drag Baron start, but they're coming towards it anyway.
Right back on, TP's now coming him down. Shanks looks to body block off to the side. Tien is around, has not got flash, but does have the ability to throw some wind into lightning and then audacious charge in. It's difficult to keep Xin Zhao out of the pit.
Yeah, Xin Zhao ult just stolen again. Again, very, very good at becoming that temporary front line. Baron has stopped. It was a long Baron take. Top lane inner turret falls, but no one's around for the local gold. It doesn't matter as much. Shanks still on the flank.
45 seconds on Soul for anyone's legend as well. They can start to pull people around. Breathe. Hit with the focus resolve into the backline goes Flandre, who's hit by the quickness, goes golden, buys some time, flashes away. Now Shanks in the backside, looking for an angle, has a crescent guard. Light's been split off. Needs to try to set got a barrier, trying to buy some time, but he can't quite find the featherfall. And Shanks brings him down. He's healing. The Kingslayer comes on through the Realm Warp, buys some time, and they get out with it. But they can't bring down Shanks. He gets his man and gets out alive. And look who's split off. It's Breed.
Light with a another awful team fight. Doesn't hit the ult when the chain flies towards him. You don't have the HP to tank a 25 stacked Medjai's Silas. Light needed to back up the fact that his frontline can survive so long, but he doesn't deliver on the promise. Yet again, anyone's legend will get themselves an Ocean Soul after the mistake from Light.
Ocean Soul is there. Suddenly, got a lot of people who love to abuse that. Will start way back at the beginning of this play.
So, mistake from Weibo first by taking a big play away from their frontline. Breathe is not there to delay in the same kind of way. And then this is the big play here, right? Light, just press your ult. Just press your ult. You've got to keep track of that as Storm Abduct. There's no body block there. There's an angle towards it. Light going down so easily means there's no damage left after this point. It's a great Whelm Warp to stop it being a complete cleanup after this point. I mean, great job from Xiaohu. But Light, you must do more than this. Breathe has to kill the wave just to make sure there's no chance of like an inhib going down after.
Still Soul is still a lost team fight. It's just it could have been worse, which is slightly dour to say in the grand scheme of things. But now Baron on the table for anyone's session, and they have that Soul.
The other side too, how well has Shanks been playing? We were saying that, hey, the Silas could be an X factor, the quickness, the Shinzo ultimates, 25 stack Medjai's, 3 items, going towards his Zonya's next as well. Shanks has been godlike. He has been so insane. Now, I think it is right to call out the mistakes from Weibo as well, it is, but Shanks has been the one to force those errors in a certain way. Now, Weibo do have 3 items now on carries. Is that enough for a comeback? Ocean Soul now on the other side. Makes it even harder. Yes, there's a Morelnomicon from Xiao who will cut down some of that healing.
Wise, I think, actually.
Exactly. No, especially with that coming through. Xiao caught out. Does have flash. Needs to use it.
Oh, he flashes for a moment, but has so many needles. He eats so much damage, down to 10% HP.
Sion's teleporting in. Is tanky. Uses their ult to go out. That's typically the way you play the Sion. You walk forwards and ult backwards to make sure you're not stuck into the play. Xiao who can recall. Doesn't have teleport. Does have ult if he needs to get back somewhere quickly.
See the play. No TP on Xiaohu, has the Realm Warp. No TP on Breathe. Back to the Baron we go.
Big problem here, though. Light just got chunked out for free. Not exactly sure why. He was trying to clear out the wave, but lost 2/3 of his HP. Another Q because he walks 2 forwards up into that. Realm Warp now coming back in for Xiao, who's getting close towards the plate.
Breathe now spots the Baron's going down. Ura tries to find an angle on the Kylo, flashes away. Over goes Hope, does half the HP of this Ricard. True-shot barrage. Forces the Locket Shield. Breathe now buying up some space, trying to make sure the Hope isn't hitting some more valuable turn from anyone's ledge as they look for the angle. Stormbringer into the backside. They lose the jungler. Fight now difficult, but Shanks Crescent guards the team apart. Tien in danger. Xiaohu in danger. Backline tricky. Good Zonyas from Flandre by space and time. Light being snuffed out again. Can't run far enough away. And Breathe goes down as well. That's the team fight wipe in favor of anyone's legend.
Anyone's legend don't need a Baron. They'll clean through the team, a teleport towards topside, and what I called the worst draft of LPL this split may just be walking away with a win off the back of a huge carry performance for Shanks in the mid lane.
What fight should they not have taken, Alex?
All of the early ones, Weibo still had a chance. Missteps from Light, who is struggling in this series, put Weibo into the dirt. Shanks is the carry for anyone's legend, but Weibo must rue this decision to take those early fights. They fall in an easy game 3 in what should have been so favored to something. The R is pretty good into the Galio itself. The Castan going melee range into that comp, I think that he would really hate that. Yeah. Shanks goes towards Ari. And AL, I think they went from having a very good draft to a much more contested one, because now the Nocturne can get countered by Galio, Alistair, Renekton locking you up in melee range.
Yeah.
I do think the Lucian Braum is nice. I think that the Ornn and the Braum is very good defensively. Weibo may struggle to go offensively into the enemy team, but I think Weibo actually come out with a winning top lane, contested mid lane. Galio's okay versus the Ahri, and a Kai'Sa lane which you can survive if not win. You're not going to win that. I think Weibo walk away with something okay here. This one's a more even draft.
Exactly how well the paranoias are used here as well, because if you can do it before those globals, always been pretty potent. On to the rift we go. Let's let the Gyos ring out for a
来
second.
到英雄联盟。敌军还有30秒到达战场，免信号，免信号。
Early invade here from anyone's legend. I think when you've got things like the Braum, it can be pretty nasty to try and face check that one. So understandably, Weibo playing relatively defensive here. You can see Breathe is wandering in to put a ward down on the other side. At least we'll get some response vision put down.
Lucian with something like an E start as well makes it very easy to follow up on something like a Braum Q. For the passive stun, Lucian Braum very strong early lane for the level 1 at least. Weibo do get some vision into the other side of the jungle, though.
Are we thinking of cross-mapping this? I'm watching Tarzan come back over here, and Tien and Breathe are waiting. This gets interesting suddenly.
It does, because, well, I mean, Ornn's not awful at level 1. Nocturne's very good at it, but you don't want to be walking into this. Flandre found out, Q hits him, not going to be that much more than it. Tien not going for the Raptor steal, which we often see from the Lilia, instead sticking on the red buff, and that means that Flandre is going to walk over and try and force him off it. And he does. Tien not getting the most, in fact, doesn't get anything from that scam. Breathe gets a small Raptor, and Tien fails on the invade.
The smite, but it is secured. Does he want to start up the red buff or the Krugs? You can choose to do both, and I think the idea is go to the Krugs, be a bit safer, and not be at risk here.
Yeah, look, you've already seen the enemy jungler go out of your jungle. You are safe, and it's level 2 to level 1. It doesn't actually matter what Tarzan starts now because you're safe. You're that level ahead. Tien is behind. I'm much more interested in what Tien does now because he's a camp behind. He failed the invade. It's going to be slowed down on this clear, and now Tarzan can get a little bit further ahead.
The other thing is here, with you being so far ahead, there's a potential here where Tarzan can contest over Scuttle Crabs a lot more freely as well. And yes, Lilia will eventually hit a point where she farms like a beast, but early on, Nocturne in skirmishes in 1v1 is actually surprisingly scary with things like the lethal tempo. He is a better duelist than people often give him credit for.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter if it's lethal tempo, press the attack, or conqueror. Basically, the whole thing is if you go into a Nocturne and he spell shields you, you'd lose. Nocturne is not the kind of person like a Lee Sin who can like kill you like aggressively and like throw a Q at you and chase you down, because Nocturne doesn't have chase potential before level 6. But if you walk into him, one of the best early duelists in the game.
Tien doing his best to clear out as fast as he can, but Tarzan already on Gromp is way ahead here. You've got to feel that fighting over things like the Scuttle Crabs could be tough, and a Nocturne that's getting accelerated in the camp lead could be very problematic in terms of getting to level 6 first.
So one thing which is quite interesting there is that we saw that Xiaohu just moved from mid lane down to check the buff on this side of the map, because he didn't know whether Nocturne had gone this way and then gone across the river for something like a steal. Turns out he hadn't done, but he had to check just because they didn't have the information to check them after the first play of the game. He's now going to be bot side. He will be spotted. Tarzan going for a full clear.
Slightly dire stats there that we saw up on screen there for anyone's legend of their champs. Hope 0 and 2 on the Lucian minute, and Shanks 0 and 1 on the RE. A few moments there you're going, not always been their most successful options here as players. One or two people in chat going, no, not the Lucian for hope. And it's like, maybe some of those recent game losses haunting the anyone's legends fans.
Could see. I don't think Tarzan's going to contest the topside scuttle. There's too many. Xiaohu's pushed in, the Renekton's pushing in. He will go towards. I mean, Xiaohu will try and steal some of these. I don't think Tien's going to get that much value out of it, though.
Unspeakable horror coming on down. Tarzan in the spot above it, gets a bit of healing back, has that smote away, but now Shanks has come on over. It's DP back in. Got a lot more damage to work with. There's the charm. Xiaohu loses a half of the HP. Duckspringer comes across, bowling ball wide. And actually look to potentially fight this a bit more here as Xiaohu forced to retreat on an awkward path, eating auto after auto after auto. The Shield of Duran comes on out, prevents too much easier follow-up. Scuttle Crab is up on the other side as Breathe is starting that up for the jungler.
So there's a big Raptor steal which gets something for Tien. Tarzan was maybe looking for a double scuttle, can't quite do so. Xiaohu trades his HP and some of his lane presence for Tien.
Be able to get back to lane here and an okay one. We didn't have the teleport importantly here, so this wave may well be being trimmed a little bit here. Being very slow to push this is Shanks, clearly wanting to buy some time on the crash.
Question in chat. Oh, hang on a second. I'm not going to need that much here.
Present, not delivered.
So there's a question about, is IG eliminated? No, they're in the lower bracket. The loser of this series will also drop down to the lower bracket, but a round beyond them. I think IG plays up against FPX, I believe, in the lower bracket first round. And then the winner of that will play against the winner of WE versus JDG.
Be an interesting one as well. I feel like JDG should be beating that one pretty handily, but that last series from JDG, there were a few
look, whoa. When you're trying to compare it to WE, you got demolished in their own way.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I know.
Nah,
I'm trying to build some hype here, Alex.
Like,
my boy Monkey.
Sure, but there's also like, let's... So, recalls coming through from anyone's legend. Carl just making sure the wave's not getting pushed in too hard. The bot lane's not gone badly for Light and Airham, actually. It's gone completely fine. The Alistair into the Braum doesn't really have options to go aggressively. You just have to headbutt away. Can't really do that much after that point. I'll try to hold the wave. Couldn't quite do so.
We'll reset now. It's a bit of a wave loss, and actually in the end that'll be Light with the early CS lead into the Lucian, which wasn't actually what I was expecting here, all things said and done. Of course, did get the Coalfields back, so Lucian at least on a solid reset. TP towards the bot side here, interestingly. From Kyle, who's gone for the Spellbook, by the way, on the Braum.
been more recent thing from hang on a second, that's gonna be a passive coming up. This is why the Alistar hates playing into the Braum. Not much counterplay against that.
He come in, gets that passive proc. There's no healing potions or anything in the inventory of Ura either. That's just going to stick around. Does have the heal as a summon. It's got mid lane, shielded around. Tien coming on up. Will Shanks be forced to... Oh, no, he will not. Just gets to walk away. Raptors being a consideration for a steal here. Tarzan may be forced to smite. Does so, was afraid of Tien coming on over with that bowling ball.
Like, these plays in mid lane, the kill threat's not there, really. It's annoying. So you get some of the HP off, and what it's mainly doing is just allowing you to either help or stop the other laner from helping their jungle. Actually, most of this early game has been about jungle advantage. If you look at the way that everyone's been pathing around Tarzan and Tien, early pathing and everything. Now, Tien is even with Tarzan, but he tried to get ahead and didn't quite manage to do so. Dragon now started up, and it was like maybe contesting.
Worth noting, Tien has 6. Tarzan does not. Lilting Lullaby available could be really problematic if this bowling ball hits someone valuable. Splashes on the Dragon, but no one else. Dragon likely going to Tarzan. This might be the level 6 off that kill as well. Is now looks to turn it around. In comes the Galio's Hero's entrance. Slow and stun onto Kyle, who's not quite down. The Lilting Lullaby now coming on through. Tries to buy an angle. Hope dashes on forwards, cleanses away along with the flash. Shanks in danger, trying to dance around the back end with the Spirit Rush. Light also looking for an angle. The blooming blows begin to fly. Shanks still needs to potentially pull that last ult trigger. Summoner's blown in spades by anyone's legend, but no one dies.
Yeah, no one dies, but the Dragon does. So I'll walk away with the Dragon. Bowling ball will stop a recall from Hope. It's a little annoying for him. Of course, Hope used both of his summoners there. Weibo. This will allow them to get quite far ahead of the Lucian lane, actually. Hope was forced back a little bit before. Light's had better access to farm, and while I think that Light has had a bad series so far, getting a platform like a 15 CS lead onto a Lucian Braum, that's a good start, because that Kai'Sa, being able to rearrange the direction of the fight, can be very powerful later on into the stuff like the Braum and the Orm, which typically like to fight down the front and center.
Very much, especially now with all of the summoners pop. Yes, Kyle's got the spellbook, so that's always a little bit of a misnomer there in that sense. These grubs likely to be taken by Tien as a result, but Kyle has not walked on over. Maybe looking to contest this himself, throws out the Winter's Bite. Breathe also around, but side against it, I think. Wave's not in a great enough position. They've rotated their bot lane to mid. I'll leave that as the lost cause. Tien secures those grubs for his squad.
Andre, within 10 CS of the Renekton, top lanes is not really getting involved in much so far. So often is their lot in life, really. Shahu been quite interactive actually with the Ahri lane. He's within again 10 CS there. One of the things which, you know, Ahri can bully out the Galio lane. In fact, there was a point in time where Ahri would go airy the rune into the Galio and just continually gun them down with procs of that. There was also a meta where you could go first strike and really bully out the melee matchup. In fact, Xiaohu was very good at that matchup around Worlds 2023. You'd go towards the mythic item Leandries, and it was a really good way to do that. Ahri nowadays, pretty strong on the whole, pretty hard to punish. Doesn't necessarily have the way to bully out the Galio the way that she used to in earlier matches.
Really, Tarzan doing his best to match the Lilia and farm. Doing a fine job of that so far. Not really seen a proactive paranoia yet. The first one we saw was off the Dragon smite to get the level up, and then that fight that got pretty pricey in terms of wave control and summoners, even if no one died. In fact, we have had no deaths yet. It's 0-0 with 10 minutes or so on the clock. So, a bit of a slow game for the LPL in some ways, even if we have seen some congestion around things like Raptors.
So, yeah, it's like slow in terms of the actual kills, but we did have a pretty good fight around the Dragon, even if no one died. And we've had, you know, bits and pieces of jungle contests, as you were saying there too. So it's not been like peak Jin Air, nothing happens for forever until we hit like 3 items.
Is anything ever going to be that again?
No, by the way, folks, if you're looking for some YouTube watching, there's a documentary on Jin Air as an organization by GBay99.
Oh, amazing.
It's fantastic. It's a couple of hours long. It's really, really good. Nocturne comes through here. Might be action.
And comes the culling. Glacier Fissure also possible. Where is the Nocturne? Downtown they come. Winter's Bite comes on through as they're trying to get some of an angle. Galio will bring in the hero's entrance. As Alistar presses ults in general blown pretty heavily there. Kyle puts up the door. Shanks still got a charge left on the ult, but that's about it. 4 ults burned from anyone's legend, and they get no one.
Don't really know what they're doing going on to the Alistar of all people there. Seemed a bit flimsy. They had the culling, which didn't do that much. You know, as Legends, as you rightfully say, not really doing that much all in all there. Flandre, looks like he tanked a culling, a Dominus from Breathe, who tried to push in heavily there. did so. Flandre didn't have the teleport. I guess he wanted to take a harder trade just so Breathe couldn't teleport down in case things got a little bit more spooky. Yeah, so he wanted to make sure that there was no teleport coming through because he didn't have vision in that brush. Just wanted to make sure that there was no kind of clutch Renekton teleport coming in from the other side of the map.
I think that makes some sense. The Ornn quite happy to just stall out on their side. And the Renekton being in that fight could have gotten a bit ugly. Doesn't really lead to all that much in the grand scheme of things, but the ults being down, a bit problematic. But they will largely all be up in time for this dragon, and that would be second for anyone's legend.
I'm just realizing again, look. It is, I know it's slight. It's an advantage.
Yes! Spellbook.
The dubstep ignite.
Wow.
Weibo have a slight advantage, and it is on blue side. We could go to a game 5 for another 1v1 side slate 1v1, which could be so important in a series here at the LPL. Are Weibo really going to give us a game like that last time? Be like, wow, massive draft advantage. Of course they lose. Would they then bounce back with a game 4-5 victory? Again, it's in the cards. It's written in the stars, apparently.
Because I won on blue side. Dragon spawning in 2 seconds. Come with some more lyrics as we go.
真厉害。
I'm not going to do that on the fly. I'd have to write them down.
why.
And that's what I'm not going to do.
Yeah, come on.
In fact, I'm not going to tell you the lyrics because, Sam, Dragon is alive and that's important.
Oh, I'm giggling to myself. It's a great time. Right, Dragon is up. Anyone's legend would like this, if possible. They don't have to go for it, but ult's now largely up and available. No TP on Flandre. We could look to roam up from that bot side river. Shanks doesn't have his eye either. We really gonna give this one just up? Doesn't seem like legend right in position as yet. Galio also doesn't have ult or teleport right yet, worth noting.
So a lot of it will be around that mid lane tug of war. Remember, both these teams have more of a I'm going to say interesting, and that is sometimes a polite way to say bad or what the hell are they doing. Macro teams. Anyone's legend tend to be the better side of that, but Weibo can give some smoke and mirrors to them. Choosing to give up Dragon or Anyone's legend, they had that first one. Choosing to stay and farm instead, get some advantage towards Tarzan, who can just keep farming up some lane, some camps, and Shanks staying in the side lane.
Dragon secured by Weibo Gaming. We've shoved in mid lane by Light, having a much better game this time around. Up in cold, farming well, happily at the first item. Problematic, of course, anyone's legend have just about hit their own 1-item spikes, and at that point you begin to start asking them to make some more proactive moves of their own. Game is even enough right now, but I think for their sake they'll want to make things a bit more explosive in their favour over the next 10 minutes or so. I think it gets trickier in extended fights.
1 item is being hit across the board. This is where, the Renekton starts to come into their own. Lilia has the burn now. On the other side, though, Malignance and Stridebreaker, good for the mid-jungle of anyone's legend. They pulled the trigger pretty easily earlier, actually, quite quickly, in terms of just saying, let's just throw ults at people. Didn't get much for it, but they were willing to do so. It's quite hard to pull Nocturne out and juggle people when you're into an Alistar, though, I've got to say.
Yeah. Gotta be very wary of your timing tracks. If you miss Time of Paranoia and then the Galio and the Alistar turn on you, it's a bit tricky. But you can also potentially deny some of those teleport and Galio if you time it right as well.
And kind of revisiting a point which you made in Champions Select when you talk about, well, why was the Nocturne being locked in? It's always follow up the Ornn ult. And my counterpoint is, well, you're alone physically, even if the Ornn ult is engaged. That is one of the reasons why I think Annual's Legend are umming and ahhing a little bit, and they're not pulling the trigger quite so much. Because we saw in that last play, right? Nocturne flies into the play, but actually it's onto Alistar, who doesn't care, pops the ultimate, knocks you up, and then you can't really follow up the play in the way that you'd like to as the Nocturne.
Worth noting as well, Herald has just spawned. That would be a mark towards the objectives in the feats of strength for Weibo. Would earn them that mark. We've still got no kills, by the way, 15 minutes deep.
Yeah.
And I think as far as Legend go, that's a problem. You're running the Lucian, you're running the Ahri with the Dark Seal, the Nocturne. He wants to get value out of these early Paranoias. That hasn't happened yet. Raises an eyebrow for me. If it really is, you just win on blue sides, and the Backstreet Boys will have to be back, all right. Blue sides back, all right.
When did it ever go? Look, blue side has been... The thing is, blue side has always been strong in pro play. I'm not exactly sure of the reasons. It does jump forwards, gets pops with the culling. Doesn't blow his ultimate just yet. Could get some of that honey fruit to heal up a little bit. That's helpful. Herald now spawning. Flandre could walk up. No, he's teleporting instead into mid lane. AL, they want to contest.
Shanks on a flank angle as well. Can look to Spirit Rush in. Tagged again by the Winter Spite. They really want to chunk this Alistair out if they can. 4,000 HP on the Herald. A little late to contest here. In comes the Paranoia. On ult as well. That'll be the Herald taken though by TM. But it's a good knock up on the other side. Into the backline goes the Dominusing Breeze, who needs to run away. Knocked up. In comes the Hero's Entrance. It's too little too late. But all the hope being jumped on by the Killer Instinct. Needs to back away. Shoulder to Duran. Gets value. TN continue to blooming blow absolutely everyone down. Flash over the wall from Shanks. Fail flash on the other side though. Carl goes standing on forward, trying to buy some time. Tarzan in the backline with the unspeakable horror. Gets another down. It's a triple kill to Light nonetheless. Charm lands onto the Lilia. And that, for me, is a win for Weibo Gaming. Flash on force for the blooming blows. The burn comes on down and Shanks is ashes.
4 kills to the side of Weibo. Give up 3 of their own. But Weibo still get the Herald as well. And the blue side team comes out with an advantage. Oh boy, it does seem like this side just activates the hands and keyboards of the team. They'll go towards the first turret in top lane as well, which will get them the feats of strength. Kills were over towards anyone's legend, so they did need that first turret to seal that out. And Weibo walk away with the first big confrontation win of the game. So Breathe goes in towards the backline. I think he tries to stop Flandre from reactivating the ult, can't quite manage to do so. Gets a 4-person Hold the Meek, which gives enough HP to force Hope to flash forwards. Because Hope flashes forwards, he then dies. So Breathe, despite dying, does actually get value out of the kind of the melee range Renekton power that you do get. Things get messy after this point. You have champions like the Lilia stacking up the Q, you have the Tarzan Nocturne getting into melee range too. The Lilia comes out ahead of this one, but as a team, Weibo slimly come out with the advantage plus the objective too.
Nice Q flash into the Swell Seed slow, and Tien comes away with a lot of value there himself. They win on blue side, Alex. I've got a new line for the song.
Yes.
Tell me why I never seem to draft on red or win a draft on red.
No, it's the wrong amount of syllables, Sam.
Win a draft on red.
It's the wrong amount of syllables.
Okay, what it should be then?
What, Sam?
Come on, workshop this with me.
I'm here to criticize you, Sam.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm the person you have to convince that you're allowed to put this onto the.
I never win a
charts.
draft on red. I never win a draft on
No.
red.
But
It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be close enough.
Sam, you can do better. I know
Okay,
you can do better.
you think? I quite
yes,
like
Sam,
that.
I believe in you, Sam. You can do better than that.
Okay, well, we've got Dragon coming up. You know, maybe that's an important one.
That is quite important too. Hang on a second. Tien does get the ult. The shield's down. Could choose to pull it.
Ooh, not
It's
great culling.
But Hope's struggling on the Lucian hit. He's not had the best fight so far. Down at very low HP. That should be a contest over now, really.
Kyle picks up the honey fruit. That's unfortunate. They're just saying, yeah, well, Hope's going to have to reset anyway. Herald now coming on through. And they've already got themselves a feat of strength. Do Weibo Gaming having picked up the objectives and the turret. I think it is going to be another blue side win.
Sometimes it feels a little bad saying that at 19 minutes. This could still be a very close game. AL do have very good engage with the Ornn ults and the ability to kind of roll through some very powerful fights. They might go for the contest here. Flandre within ult range soon.
Lucian back at 2/3 HP, so should be a bit better able to play this one out. And comes the Ornn. Forge comes on Blue Dragon secure, but they were Paranoia now coming on through. Good knock up at the back end of this. Turnaround from Ura, trying to buy some space. Bellow's Breath comes on down. Hope ended up going through the winds of war though, lost half its HP. Shanks looking for an angle, can be lilting Lullaby. The projectile isn't properly blocked. Shanks stays alive mostly. Dustbringer comes on down. No one dies. Anyone's legend can't find anyone valuable.
No, and it's going to be Dragon over to the side of Weibo. That was a good Ornn ult. Got through 3 people. 3-person Ornn ultimate typically tends to win you fights. Later into the game, we'll see the Ornn ultimates coming, the Ornn items coming through too. More value from that. Anyone's legend don't get the dragon. They'll teleport to protect bot lane, and they'll take mid lane turret too. It's a good win for them.
Kyle TPing, of course, with the spellbook, so not necessarily who they were expecting. Tier 1 mid was secured. That's nice. Actually turning on to the Atakan here. Kyle's around, but no one else is. Shanks has TP, about to reset. Will need to join very fast. I'm assuming he has a second item completion on that reset. Keep your eyes on that RE inventory. Well, here we go again.
Anyone's legend don't have ultimates. Tarzan forces the flash out of Shahu, but he has ult anyway. I mean, wait, they still have ults. They can definitely fight this, but they are getting shredded by Atakan.
Whoever comes beyond is in danger himself. Will begin to charge away. Has got the Bella's Breath, potentially immune some CC, and does a good job. Down to 2,000 HP is the Atakan, still burning. Shahu now coming across. Throws out some Winds of War. And the Atachan is secured instead by anyone's legend. Flambeau charges away. Charm onto the Lilia. Into the Culling forces a retreat. Now connected with the angle as they get the resets on the ult available. Up and down, flash on forward for the Winter's Bite. Nearly getting the concussive blows all the way stacked. Can't quite get onto Shao, who just punches away, but the Ornot back up and available. Choo-choo comes the train. As Ura in danger, in comes the hero's entrance. It means nothing. And Shao, who finds no respite for his bot lane.
Anyone's Legend, despite losing all of their ultimates in the dragon fight, find a way to win the Atachan. Breathe goes forward to the Dominus.
Ooh, Dominus on top and gets the call. The Mip will die in trade. That's just the Braum for your Renekton. Not the best angle. Hope slowed down. Needs to be a bit wary, getting some double taps down. This is the back end. Got Tarzan. He's very bloody deep. The cleanse comes on down. I apologize. Now in a 3v3 this well, so he just goes wide, but the health spell's not looking fantastic. Flash from forward from Light. Can't quite get it with the Acathian Rain. Begin to turn it around to Shanks. Still has the flash, still has a charm. I think that will be the end of the play. Atachan secured by anyone's legend. Turret on the bot side in danger.
There's an ult from Light. He can kill him. He can kill.
Well buffered through again by Shao, who Justice punches away.
Light threatening a dive onto Shanks. Yes, Shanks with the teleport. And yeah, Light is 4-1. 2 items now.
Very, very scary. Got to be a close run thing. It's Weibo Gaming, though. Despite losing the Atachan, are the ones with the gold lead, are the ones with the better map position in terms of objectives and stuff as well. So look at the replay, because it was a knife fight.
Big thing about this, no ultimates for anyone's legend in this fight at the start of it. The fact that they managed to get this Atachan and force Weibo off of this is kind of huge. Smite comes through from Tarzan, and then, Weibo think, oh, bloody hell, we've lost the Atachan, we should really go for a fight after this. They don't find that much. And of course, they don't have all of their ultimates either, like the Lilting a Lullaby, which is one of their bigger engaged tools. Things get very, very messy after this because the Call of Forge God comes back up after previously being used in the Dragon fight. And it is just about these small openings. One skill shot here, one missed position there, which opens up extra kills. Overall, I guess Weibo come out ahead on this phase of the fight, but AL still get the Atachan before this. Mixed bag.
Tarzan actually gets the Paradigm, tries to jump off the Light. It's just too deep. No one can follow him. Light gets the cleanse, and you do get the cleanse, at least I guess, off the Kai'Sa, but clearly felt everyone's going to die. Light flashing for that and doesn't get anywhere near the kill, so ends up burning an additional summoner. A bit awkward from him for all that he's very strong. Kai'Sa will not have the flash or the cleanse up in this next dragon fight, and that would be for Soul Point. Little bit of a problematic point, considering how important this Kai'Sa has been to the team fights for Weibo.
Getting later into the game, the more value the Ornn gets with items to the rest of the team. Shanks at a decent 2-item spike. For those of you that are not aware of current itemization patches and stuff, 2511 Horizon Focus gives you 115 AP, 25 ability items, 2,800 gold. It is ridiculously efficient. So this 2-item is very, very good. Compared to what it could be. Of course, on the other side, Riftmaker, Rod of Ages, very powerful point for Galio. Xiaohu's been good on the Galio in the last 2 series, actually. I think in general, I think Xiaohu's been playing very well in playoffs so far, but it's been good to see the glow up for him. I think that he had some rough patches in Group Ascend. Both him and Breathe had, I mean, let's be honest, most of the team did.
Yeah.
Support, not
the support revolving door, yeah.
Yeah, the revolving door, particularly with Hung, just being so poor towards the start of Group Ascend. It has been, on the whole, very good for Weibo, but this series, less good than his last one. So we'll have to see him dig deep if it goes beyond that point. Dragon in 20 seconds, AL. Like to stop a soul point being achieved.
I've got a singular control ward in the pit, which is buying them a little bit of space. Renekton shoving topside does have the teleport. Sterek's completed for him. Largely, we've got 2 items across the board here. An even enough state of affairs. The Call of the Forge God is summoned, and unfortunately for them, it's not a prank call. Charge comes on forward, damage onto the front line. They are all looking so desperately low. Ura tries to make his will unbreakable, but his spirit, it just can't stand in the face of all the charms. Hope begins to cycle through a few more of those passive autos. Everyone deserves a second shot, and a third, and a fourth. And anyone's legend get 2.
The Braum Ornn defensive combination was too much for Weibo to get through. Anyone's legend get themselves the first real clean fight in the last few minutes, and they will stop the dragon stacking. 2 for 2 in terms of dragons, even in terms of gold, basically. And the kills basically aren't apart either. We are in a much more even game than we were beforehand. We were talking about, blue side, destined to win. Not as simple as that now.
Gold. Next to even. Dragons, even enough. There is a slight advantage in terms of the feat of strength, but that will be managed very happily by the ornaments coming on through. Stride Breakers upgraded. Essence Reavers upgraded. There are important breakpoints. Smite there to secure the Scuttle Crab for anyone's legend. Shank's going to claim a second turret here for anyone's legend. We've only got the 1 so far. It's an important one, namely the mid lane one. They have got a lot of standing gold to claim here if they can just buy a little time on a side lane. Can't get that turret. Let's have a look at the replay.
So this is the play which, of course, led in towards Dragon. Weibo trying to stop anyone's legend from quickly going in towards this. Light trying not to stay in the clump because the engage is coming through, but, you know, let's be honest, you don't want to fight in a single corridor versus Orn Brawl. You know, the ultimate comes down from both of them. Yeah. And Breathe tries to open up that second angle, it's just too late. If he comes in 5 seconds earlier, maybe it's more playable and you can delay some of the damage coming in from Hope or Shanks or something like that. But Breathe's a little too late, and Weibo had already bought into that very tight corridor.
Charm as well, point blank, no way to flash out of that one from Tien. Goes down, important kill there. Actually, this Lilia has had a few moments in some of these fights where you got quite wary of how that was being played out. We'll note, third item's just been completed by both AD carries. 1,000 gold lead to Light, who is the richest man in the game, followed shortly by Hope and Shanks, who are not exactly in a bad position themselves, especially with things like ornaments changing the gold value somewhat for people like Hope in particular.
Gold! Interested to see that Shanks is going towards the Leandries now in the build, actually. Typically, if you're going to go towards the Leandries, you go second item on the Ahri build, and Malignancy and Leandries is a pretty nice point, but 1,000 gold ahead, deciding that's the play. I don't really like half-housing the build here.
What should be Bloodletter's Curse instead, just to really wind you up?
You mean both of them are trying to do the same thing, kind of giving you burn damage and some value over time in the longer team fight. I mean, both of them run the same issue. You're still halfway housing your build, which is always the problem with Ahri. Ahri doesn't have the excess damage and stats to do that. Now, I would prefer to see Void Staff if you want to be going through some more tanky members. There are 4 Merc Treads on the other team that would be quite valuable. But on the other side, you could have also gone towards something like a Death Cap. Xiaohu on a very long flank angle does have flash. Let's see what you do with it.
I think that's going to be a little bit too late. Tarzan will pop the paranoia to buy some time. Xiaohu flashes on in. Kyle stays alive. In comes the call of the Forge God. Breathe. Chunking out as well as Xiaohu desperately low. Just punches away. Tarzan now looking to threaten the back end of it as well as Shanks looking for an angle. Gets the unspeakable horror onto Uru. Just about gets away to safety. Swellseed lands onto Shanks. Still has got some ability to run away. Does so. Lilting Lullaby proc. Kyle throws up the door. Even with a little bow tied around it, long time of year, but I'll give you the pass this time around. We'll need to reset to be able to get out to safety. Baron up and available.
2 minutes until Dragon Baron, the only thing up on the table is rightfully sad. A lot of ultimates still available for Weibo, and all of them used from Annual's Legend. A similar situation to what happened around the Atakan earlier. Last time Annual's Legend still managed to get the Atakan. Can they manage to do anything without their ultimates here? It's a hard ask.
Their best. There's a fair number of summoners burned. In they go. Charm lands and actually speeds his way into the backline. A bit problematic. Xiaohu did not want to have to phase rush into that with the charm active and loses most of his HP again.
Still an ultimate from Airhead, still the Dominus. Annual's Legend give a good shot back to them, though. Says quite a lot that Weibo can't engage down the front of this team fight, even with the ultimates down. That's a big blueprint for how Weibo lose team fights. If you go down the center of the fight into the tank disengaged front line, you lose. You need to find some way onto the back lane, you need to find some way around the Braum shield, around the Ornn, and maybe things will look better for you. However, while all that's happened, Annual's Legend is still buying their way to more Ornn items. They're still buying up towards bigger scaling, which does come through from that big tank top laner. Weibo, you don't want this to go too much later than it already has.
You don't. Our eyes on it. No Infinity Edge or anything yet for Hope, but has gone for the ability with this build to just get through as many rotations as you can. It's less about the upfront, say, culling burst, but how many times can I get my double taps off?
Usually not to go towards, yeah, I guess he is choosing to go towards something more like the Bloodthirster next to the GA. It makes it easier to kind of cut through the tanks in the front line to be a bit more survivable, but it means that you're less good at that DPS. So Tarzan spotted out Xiaohu on the flank here. He pulled the ultimate, and that's what really kind of sells this flank. If Tarzan wasn't in that brush, this flank looks a lot better. Xiaohu very lucky to make it out of this alive. That is 54 HP, I believe.
Hope missed a single bullet, or that would have been a kill, and that would have been very awkward. Shout out to Kyle as well to have the cleanse rating for him, keeps himself alive. Towards Dragon we go, 10 seconds on that. Let's set up around this. Winter's Bite comes on through. Hope looking for a few more autos in mid lane.
So Weibo, need to find a second angle. Don't just go into the Braum and the Ornn. Make sure it's not about that front line. Find a different direction to fight the fight.
Breathe loses a third of his HP bar there. The Bellow's Breath afterwards. This Ornn actually beginning to do a fair amount of work with some of their HP scaling. Forward God now summon. Looking to find a trade onto someone valuable. Tien will go golden. Breathe throws out the Dominus. Flandre though, scary front lane. Charm forces a flash. Culling and the Glacial Fissure used.
So, but it's still, again, AL bullying their way into the river. And yes, they use a lot of their ultimates, but they keep jumping Charm.
Will be forced to make his will unbreakable. His body is another question entirely. The Winter's Bite begins to stack as well. Exhaust, trying to keep him in place. They can't quite get him. Torn onto Flandre, the train conductor forced to contend with the Galio. Back back towards the Rambo TP behind. That gets scary. Heroes enters Kyle in danger. Flashes out of that one. Greed now on a flank angle looking for someone. Can't quite do it. Flandre with the 3-man knock-up charm afterwards gets onto at least one. Shahu now in danger. The unspeakable horror of the Nocturne fight at the angle. The lilting lullaby is good. What about the turnaround? There is another charge into the wall. Gets scary indeed. Charm afterwards onto the front line. Trying to back away his breed. Slice dice. But finds neither. Into the back. I go to the lights. Cathy Rain looks to go with more autos. He's to sharp charge away and does so. Shanks has a flash looking for more. Has got the ult backup but available with the Malignance. Brings down Light. Still continue ult away and they get Tien as well.
AL are just better team fighters. Weibo briefly find a way to open up a second angle, but anyone's legend ability to just form up behind the Braum door, behind Flandre CC and his tankiness wins them the team fight. It'll get them the dragon, which pulls anyone's legend ahead of the game. Weibo, I thought they had some golden opportunities in that fight, but for me, Light not finding the right timing to jump into the backline was the huge defining mistake by Weibo. This is a powerful Kai'Sa, should have been able to find a way into the backline, but couldn't quite do so. Opens up the Dragon and the Baron for anyone's legend.
Shanks goes to take tier 1. They one-man the Baron. They started one-manning Baron as well. Flandre now gets Mrs. from Hope, who has culled this Baron down to 4,000 HP. Should go down in pretty short order. Tarzan coming on over. Does have smites. They should be secure. They just need to reset now before anyone comes over to contest. But they get everything on the map.
So I was really worried for anyone's legend around about now because the fight's split. Flandre's not in position and Kyle is like the only front line here. He goes down to a very low HP. So you'd think, okay, well, isn't this going to be fine? But look at that knockup from Flandre. It allows them a little bit more time to replay the fight. But then, you know, places like this, I'm surprised that Light isn't flying into the play. I know he's half HP, but when you're going to get a better opportunity, you shouldn't be auto-attacking the Ornn. You need to kill one of the carries. Chooses to go in now, but he kills the Braum. If you're going to go in for the backline assassination that late into the fight, you got to kill a carry. The Braum is not the target. Light, it's been a bad series from him.
The fight went so long as well that Shanks, all his ability haste, started the fight with ult and ended it with ult. You got 2 full ults out of the Ahri.
Look at the reaction from Tabe there as well, standing up and jubilations from all coaching staff of anyone's legend. They might be able to end the series here. You know, they are on match point. Weibo would be put down into the lower bracket. Would be BLG versus anyone's legend, you know, upper bracket finals. That would qualify for the grand finals and send one of those teams to MSI. Light jumping forwards. Flandre caught out very far from his team.
Trying to get some value. He's a little bit deep. He's very tanky at this point. 3.5 items on the Braum. Also looking at Kyle, who's got a Knight's Vow and an upgrade on it.
And also, Light hasn't got the biggest damaging build as well.
No.
Now, it's okay for the first 3 items. You're going towards a Bloodthirster. Doesn't mean you drop some damage yourself going towards the actual DPS potential. One of the weaker things about this kind of build, actually, when you drop a bit towards the defensive stats.
And Hope, on the other hand, has got an Infinity Edge now.
Yeah, he does, and he's been kept very safe by his team. AL have been better team fighters, though.
Yeah.
That has been the biggest difference, I think. The team fighting from Annual's Legends has been much better than Weibo's, who have been a few seconds off in some key instances on flanks. They've been mispositioning in the case of Light, I think in some cases too, who typically for me is one of the most consistent members of this Weibo team, but today has just not showcased that. I think he's had a poor showing on the Varus, on the Kai'Sa here as well. He's had a bit of a rough go of things.
I will say, I think that the Kai'Sa at least has looked like it's been more of a win condition than some of the other games where he's looked like a liability. I'm not sure that's as fair this time around, but that fight, right, you nearly have it, you don't.
Also, by the way, Don Raid saying, like, you know, us yapping for, like, about, like, blue side winning. Have you seen blue side win rate?
It's insane.
So you let me know in Onivia's chat. Yes, we do pay attention to the chat. Like, blue side win rate is insane. That's why we say about it. It's relevant. If you don't think it's relevant because blue side is now losing in this game, I mean, you feel free to say that. You're also wrong.
Yeah, blue side win rate has been, I think it's something like, it's over 80%.
It's insane. And especially since 2 days ago, Weibo won all of their games on blue side as the JDG. It was a 5-game blue side win rate series in the last round of playoffs between Weibo and JDG.
Pretty mental stuff. It's partly why this is an interesting one. Dragon, 145. Baron, solid from anyone, so it's not ended the game. Worth noting. You have now got a 4th item on the Kai'Sa. Good for that. Galio got himself the Zhonya's coming on in. Again, has gone for a slightly bruisery build rather than a tank build with the Boa and Riftmaker going towards the Zhonya's. So you do catch someone out. Theoretically possible to help blow someone up. You've just got the Randuin's in on Breathe, but I think the Renekton's moment of power is kind of over here. GA just done from Tarzan as well, and some of those worries then about the Nocturne going too deep get mitigated somewhat by that ability to buy yourself time for people to come and join you wherever you've gone. So feeling like a lot of very important breakpoints here for will likely be one last hurrah at this 35+ minute game.
But it's so hard to find those breakpoints against, you know... so Shanks has gone for the Medrise late, by the way, so far ahead. You should get Medrise earlier than this. It's not that valuable in late game. You want to use it early game, get ahead with it, and then use those extra stacks for the most important fights of the game. But all of the Ornn items are in for Ornn, which is the biggest thing for this. You have Seekers as luxury items, you have Ornn items, so many extra stats.
Do you remember how much value Ornn items give to a team overall?
It's about 1,000 gold worth of stats for each item. So it's an extra 5,000 gold
That's
ahead,
a lot.
and they're already 7,000 gold ahead. So call that 12,000 gold ahead all in all. It's in terms of actual stats. Of course, dragons can add some pieces in, blah, 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 and not everyone uses gold in the same way. But in terms of actual stat value, that's quite valuable. And then on the other side, they do have the feats of strength, which nullifies it a little bit, but still.
Trying their best to make sure this all works out in the end. Ready to roll. 5 seconds on Ocean Dragon.
And again, but if they can find a way to get into the backline and kill a carry, that's different. Breathe losing HP like that doesn't help. Shanks staying safe on the sideline. Another great chunk on the Breathe of the second Q. That actually might be... That's fight winning in some ways. Breathe has to recall. Charm misses there. Light might find himself a 1v1. Ult forced early by Shanks. Didn't want to have the plasma put onto him. It's a big loss for him now. Doesn't have that ultimate to impact the fight.
To try and get the Dragon, and that will get some soul points. So worthy so far. Good knockup from both the Ornn and the Brawl. 3 TPs in, culling onto Ura, drops him to about half. Anyone's Legend in many ways, they've done what they needed to do. They've gotten the Dragon, they just need to get back out and not lose too much on the map.
Exactly. They haven't lost anyone. They get the teleport out of Breathe. Tien, I mean, it's onto the front line. Doesn't matter that much. Xiaohu looking to round the corner here a little bit. Weber trying to corral anyone's Legend.
Well, in a bit of danger, the Paranoia now part, and that's the cleanse off of Light. Knock off on two as Flandre searing charge into the wall. Paranoia forwards, danger onto Light. Hero's entrance buys some time, keeping himself alive. Carson flashes back on out. Kyle, though, is so damn tanky in the front line at this point. Another charge into the wall. It's a bouncy castle out here for both sides, and everyone's just getting a little bit sick. But it's anyone's Legend with pandas everywhere. You get luck at a triple kill to the Ari.
Blue side will not be enough for Weibo in this series. They knock JDG, the 3rd seed, down to the lower bracket in their first round of playoffs here against the 2nd seed. Perhaps it was a step too far. Anyone's Legend, by far the better team and better team fighters on the day.
Huge value from them. In they go. They've got waves in mid. They've got waves in top. They've got inhibitors exposed. They don't even care about the one in mid. They just want to get some minions towards this turret. Glacial Fissure to buy time. 20 seconds on Light. Their work here is done, and Weibo finally lose a blue side game. Their upper bracket run is ended. Anyone's Legend a step too far. And they find themselves a convincing mid-game victory. This squad here on red side, finally.
3-1 victory. No 5 games here, no silver scrapes, and Anyone's Legend will go to face BLG